It is 6 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. The Titans made several roster moves yesterday, including the mandatory cut down from 90 to 85 players. The two most notable cuts were wide receiver Josh Malone and running back Jordan Wilkins. The team claimed defensive back Lonnie Johnson Jr. off waivers from the Chiefs. He had played 44 games and started 19 with the Houston Texans in the previous 3 seasons. The Titans also reportedly acquired Raiders safety Tyree Gillespie in a trade. He was a 4th-round pick of the Raiders in 2021. Braves shut out the Mets 5-0 yesterday. Atlanta has taken the first 2 games of their 4-game set against New York. And they also agreed to an 8-year, $72 million contract extension with outfielder Michael Hayes II. And Little League World Series time. Middleborough, Massachusetts taking on Nolensville today in Williamsport. 2 o'clock will be the start for that. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Joint practice Wednesday. I thought we were headed out there, but I'm headed out there.
Yeah, headed out there. I got a doctor's appointment. I got to head to.
The show is Jay Martin Ramon. Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer here. I'm Jason Martin. At Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on Sports, at JMart Radio, at JMart and Ramon. We'll talk a good bit of Titans on this show today. We got Rhett, Bryan. That was well done, guys. Well done. Unlike the Mets last night.
Soak it up, Jay.
Shave. Hit it one time. I'm going to leave my hands up as long as I have to.
Go down. Yes, he's fumbling it. He's
Braves 5, Mets nothing.
Yeah, Sally, tell him. That's why we can't see you celebrate now. The cameras aren't on yet. No, we missed it.
It's all right.
We missed the celebration.
Do it again.
We'll do it again. It is
3 more hours to start. We can try it again later.
It is the middle of the week, baby. Ain't no telling what'll happen today. The horns are good, though. I intentionally checked the score box last night just to see, Jason, if I could wear my Darryl Strawberry jersey in. I checked the scores. It was 5-0. I was like, God dang it. You know how you plan on some petty and it doesn't follow through? That's what I was looking for this morning. And lo and behold, you sent me an ice cube because that was cold-blooded what happened last night. Braves 2-0 in the series.
How about Grissom?
That's what it is, Jay. It's all right, man.
I mean, you're not a Mets fan.
I'm not a Mets fan. I knew.
No, he's a Petty fan.
That is 100% accurate. But what was most important was I was seeking Petty. I was looking for it. I was like, Jay, if there's any day that you need a dub, it's tonight. And doggone it worked in your favor. There's no telling what I was going to do this morning, man, if they had a won. Because you got me yesterday. And I was thinking in the spirit of competition, there has to be some get back, right? And here I am holding a egg in my hand, man.
Wait, did I get you yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, you brought it up as far as the sound and everything. I was just like it wasn't anything crazy. But the fact that you was just like, how about that song now, Mo? And I was like, God dang it. That's all it was. I was looking for the opportunity is all I was looking for, Jay.
Rhett, Bryan, John Glennon both today. Also Will Boling from camp.
JG and Wilbert.
So a lot of Titans today. Waived yesterday. Deontay Burton, Haskell Garrett, Carson Green, Jordan Wilkins, and Josh Malone. That's probably, it is the most newsworthy name to people inside this state. I didn't think it was newsworthy at all that he was let go.
Yeah.
It just never clicked. It never clicked. To me, it never clicked in Knoxville. It never clicked here. Never clicked with the Jets. Like, there was all sorts of talent and potential and what was talked about when he was recruited and all that kind of stuff. I don't really know how to explain it other than it just never found its way out there enough.
Well, and I'll say this, too, when it comes down to, him clicking as far as Tennessee, though. He did have that super senior year. I thought that was really good for, what was his junior or senior year? Junior year. To where he jumped out on the scene. What was it? 50 receptions, 972 yards, 11 touchdowns. Looked like he was a magnet for the end zone, Jay, is what I thought it was, So he jumped to the NFL when it was hot. Can we say that at least? Like, he left UT at the perfect time and ended up being a 4th-round draft pick to the Bengals. That could start you off on the wrong foot in itself, right? But it's a matter of finding the right niche, finding the right team, coaching staff that's going to allow you to grow. His stats in his first couple of years in Cincinnati just didn't suggest either it was the right team and opportunity for him or the fact that he just wasn't ready. His rookie year in Cincinnati was 11 games, actually started 7. 17 targets, 6 receptions, 63 yards, and a touchdown. Not a whole lot to call home about, man. The next year, 9 games. I'm guessing he was cut sometime through it, went to IR. 5 targets, 1 bar, and 12 yards. You're a 4th-round draft pick, man. There's some type of, expectations that you have to have. And again, we speak about this a good bit, though, Jay. Like, what we're finding out is, like, you have to be on the right team sometimes or just that talented. Like me specifically, I feel like it was the right team, right time for me as far as the way I lasted long in the league. And, yeah, a lot of hard work and talent goes into that. Consistency of play is also a matter of it. Josh Malone is uber talented, man. He really is. Yeah. Come out as a high-rated kid, played at Tennessee, had the one hot year, man, and it just never worked out for him. And it sucks because he's a hometown kid. I root for him. We're same fraternity. He's from my chapter. I know him really well, man. And when you meet him, you see him. He's such an awesome dude. He's such an amazing person. And you know what? That bears nothing when it comes down to performing on the NFL or basketball, hockey, or baseball diamond, does it, Jay? Has nothing to do with anything, how good of a person you are.
I mean, that's the Marcus Mariota effect, man.
It is, dog.
Love Marcus Mariota to death. Absolutely love him. Don't want him to be the quarterback of my football team.
That sucks, doesn't it? Like, because you want good people to be in good positions. But no, this is a performance-based, take advantage of opportunity type of job that you have when you're in this type of position. Like, the world is the United States. Yeah, the world is watching you perform. And the jobs of coaches are on the line if you don't perform. The jobs of coaches are on the line if you become a draft pick that's not holding up his end of the stick. I say 4th-round draft picks, Jay, that's ample amount of opportunity, right? Like, that's a good piece of change coming your way. You're a junior coming into this league. You're supposed to at least get about 3-4 years out of it with your home team, and he just didn't. What is it, circumstance, or could he not bring it all in? I love to hear what John Glennon has to say about him from what he's seen in practice. And I think we all kind of knew this a little bit, though, Jay, when we started hearing more about Kyle Phillips.
Well, when McMath emerged, that's when you knew it, because I don't know that people saw that one coming.
No.
And
I did.
He definitely took somebody's job.
Yes, he did. And it had to have been him because Josh is a speed guy. Josh is a guy that, can get over the top, and he's a long, rangy kid like this. He's 6'3". He's pretty much not Megatron-like, but he's got size that he's got to be able to use. And I don't know what's the separator, Jay, when it comes down to guys that do and guys that don't. Like, who was I explaining something to? I was talking to a buddy of mine yesterday. He was an undrafted free agent, got out of his business, got out of the NFL and started his own business. And you know how I always say to you, like, I've heard you guys here mention that Blaine is that way, like it's
Right.
something small.
Yeah.
You heard the conversations that Ron have had. You heard me say, like, the smallest things is what get you to tick. And I'm not sure if everybody have that tick in them, Jay, to take something personal that's not personal and use it to your advantage. I had a undrafted friend of mine say to me the other day, he was like, man, when I got cut, he was like, I was bitter. He said, I was mad. He's like, when you chase your dream and it's abruptly cut off, he said, man, it sucks to just be sitting there twirling your thumbs. He was like, so when I started my business up, he said, I said to myself, I know I got the talent for this. I know I got the hard work. I know how to execute this. I know all things I'm supposed to do when it comes down to my business. He said, so if I know those things, he's like, I refuse to cut myself in this. I refuse to fail at this because I know what it takes to actually get to that point. And I was like, dang. I was like, man, that's what I tell people all the time. Like, when it comes down to athletics, like, you find that small thing to motivate you. And me personally, had I ever got cut, man, and I thank God I never did. And I hate it for guys that do. Like, I legitimately do, unless the guys are just a doofus or something like that. Or getting people hurt on practice. Like, it's gotta suck to be in that position. Not just one time, but a few times. You know, this is what it's Cincy, Jets, Titans, third or fourth team, Broncos, fourth team he's been on, you know, within like 5 so years. Like, that's a tough place to be at, Jay. I don't know what happens after the first time a guy gets cut. Like, how do you remotivate yourself a little bit?
And I mean, look, everything you saw during OTAs from Malone, you saw a lot of pieces being written about, hey, he could make the 53.
I know.
He's got the measurables and he's got the effort. Like, I don't know what it is. It just sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it just didn't happen. It happened to the OTAs, but then you started seeing some of these other guys and you realize you're not keeping 12 wide receivers.
Cannot.
So, but him getting cut that fast shows they realized. I think the other thing, and we talked about this because you mentioned Phillips and I mentioned McMath.
Mm-hmm.
Other thing was Malone probably had to pin a lot of his hopes on being special teams.
Yeah.
And there's guys that can do that.
Yep.
And on this team, there's more maybe than you thought there were 2 months ago.
I mean, even look at the first rounder this year.
Right.
You got Kyle Phillips, which we expect to be a kick returner,
Yes.
punt returner, but they also got Traylon Burks back there. Like, you better humble yourself to do some dirty work to keep you around. Darius Hayward-Bay, number 6 or 7 overall draft pick. You call him a bust at his position, but he's a friggin' success story. He went from being the number 1 potential for the Raiders to being a stud special teams player. Like, I saw Hayward-Bay stretch probably 5 years out of his career just because he was a monster on special teams. Like, is that an aspect of of Josh Malone's game that he could have stepped up a little bit in, you know? And at those small skill positions, you have to be that type of guy. You know, we see the linebackers on this team all the time just go down and make plays on special teams.
Well, I was about to say one perfect example. We had him on the show Monday is Ola.
Yeah. Come on now.
And he told us that. He even said, I know special teams is why I'm here.
Tighten up.
Yeah.
Now, he's used that to carve a bigger role.
Yeah.
But it was special teams that kept him here. It's special teams that kept him on that roster
Sure is.
at first when he got here.
Yep.
And I think Malone knew it. I think Malone was saying, hey, I'll do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be special teams. I'll do all those things. Problem is, he might just not have been as good as some of these other guys in the roles that were there. Haskins is another guy that they said, you know, can do both sides. He made a tackle on special teams in a preseason game.
So what's going to happen? Who's going to get more reps at running back, Haskins or Derrick Henry?
When?
During the season.
Derrick Henry, without question.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
So guess what you better do? We're not just paying you to sit behind Derrick the entire time. You better get your butt out there and make some special teams tackles.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, that's how special team coaches talk to you. They'll let you know, man, if you're not one of the 11, you need to be in my meeting every single day, figuring out how you can stay safe on this team. And again, he's evolved. VFL, absolutely love to do. Like I said, same fraternity, same chapter at UT, man, of Kappas, and it just sucks because I know him so personally.
It would have been cool if it worked.
It would have been cool if it worked.
It would have been.
But he was a 4th-round draft pick with the opportunity. Maybe it was guidance. Again, I think about places that people start at.
Question is the other 4th-round draft pick going to make this team?
Des?
Mm-hmm. 615-737-1045 is the telephone number. Tons of Titans content. If you have thoughts on anything from yesterday, We're going to come back and we're going to talk about these combined practices and what we can't wait to see over the next 2 days as Tampa Bay is in town. It's Jay Martin, Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. All right, those drums. I want to talk to you about PAI Medical and help they've given thousands of men and women when it comes to their hair loss. They are experts at what they do. Simply nobody better. Michael Ramsey, look, he's a Georgia guy. That's unfortunate. But, hey, look, I took him a hardback book yesterday for Georgia football winning the championship. And I kind of like dropped it on the table and then washed my hands. But he's really, really good people. Everybody over at PAI is surgically, non-surgically, what they can do for your hair. Look at your own hair. It's not, something out of a briefcase or something out of a can. It's just helping to rejuvenate what's already there. The process is tried and true. It's tested. Let's test it on me. And it's worked. They've been here for over a quarter of a century. All they do is hair. They're the very best at it. They're great people as well. There are affordable payment plans to fit anyone's budget. If this is just bothersome to you, if it's just something else that's eating away at you a little bit every day, you just wish you didn't have to think about it anymore. Well, talk to PAI. You'll be surprised at what they can do and how far this technology has gone. All they do is hair. 615-376-6010 is how you get in touch with them. 376-6010. Talk to Michael Ramsey and his staff. You can go to WeGrowHair.com. If you go see Michael, make sure you give him hell about Georgia. 615-376-6010 or WeGrowHair.com. That's WeGrowHair.com. Welcome back. A little payback, a little big payback. We'll see if day 2 and day 1 are different. A lot of times in combined practices, they kind of have been. At least I've seen that. Somebody trying to get back at you after you've had a bad day 1.
I hate it. I do. I'll be real with you. Oh, it's nothing worse than that. And you know it's coming the next day, too. I would hope, like, give me 1 day on, 1 day off, coach.
It's a Tabata ride, basically.
Yeah. Because there's nothing. It's one thing in the game, right? But in practice, Jay, we talking about practice. Not the game.
Right.
Not the game.
Right.
Practice. Like, I hated that. Not the game that I love, Jay. We talking about practice. There's nothing worse than to get back in practice, man. And you can't turn it down. You got to face first into it. It's like, yeah, I got you yesterday. What we got today. That's all you say to yourself. What we got today. And you brace for it and you be the hammer, not the nail more times than not, Jay. It'll be interesting today, man. This I can't wait to hear your report about what you're gonna see out there as far as this goes. Because it should be spicy. What's the temp today? That also affects it too.
Well, it was a little brisk this morning.
Oh, temperature's going to be fine.
It's going to be beautiful?
I think the high's supposed to be like 85.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it's gonna be
Nashville
fine.
beautiful.
Yeah, and that's in the afternoon. Like, before noon,
It's going to be great.
78 degrees.
Oh, they're going to be piped up. They're going to be ready to go today. It'll be nice today. You get a little breeze off the river. What's the river by the practice facility? Do you know the name?
River.
It's a lake?
It's a lake. I never remember the name of it, though.
It's called Watery River.
What?
Because I don't know the answer.
I'm high.
It's called, it ain't the chat.
It's Lake something. I don't remember. Rhett can answer that. when he
Lake
comes in
something.
later.
Somebody in the chat might know. Yeah, Rhett does know. I heard somebody mention it at practice. I was like, oh, I thought that was the Tennessee River. No, I was wrong. It's a
I
lake.
think it's the Screw the Colts River.
Well, that's the new name
That's
going
the
forward.
Colts.
The Screw the Colts. If you let Cuzzo Mike tell it, that's where they take the horses and make glue out of them. We'll leave that alone. As Peter's probably listening.
What is going on?
I'm just rambling about what the name of the lake was. All right, there we go. We back on track then.
Lake Braves 5, Mets 0.
You just gonna start it?
No, that's it. That was all.
You just gonna start it, Shave? All right. I see.
Drive by.
I see what we're doing.
Drive by horns.
See what we're doing now. But yeah, Jay, joint practices today, man. I almost feel like the fans get excited just as much as the players and coaches do a little bit, man.
Well, Belichick said yesterday, get more out of practices and these practices by far than you do the games, which I think is widely held.
Yeah.
Now, you just got to keep it from getting to a point where dudes are out there getting hurt. But this will be the most competitive you'll see until week 1 against the Giants.
Lake Amulet.
Lake Amulet.
Amulet. Amulet.
Sound like somebody bought that and named it.
No, but I'm sure they can work on that.
Somebody likes jewels.
Lake. Where does the jewels come from?
Amulet.
Is that a jewel?
Yes.
Can we find them in the bottom of the lake? Is that where?
I mean, probably not. If you could, then I'm leaving the show.
I mean, Arkansas has that diamond mines.
It's a piece of jewelry, I should say. It's
Okay,
not
all
like
right.
an amulet's like a
Not a-
Horcrux.
It's not a gem, is what you're
No,
saying.
it's
Okay.
something that you use against evil.
Okay. All
It's
right.
used in, you'll see in like high fiction, like Lord of the Rings stuff.
Y'all got Ron Powell in the chat, Shafe, ready to go. You see,
What? What's the matter?
about the drop.
Be all right.
Now y'all teasing. I'm over here turning up to the radio to a tease.
That means I'm doing my job.
Yeah, Lake Amulet. Okay, now I got that down. I'll probably forget
It
tomorrow.
is a charm,
Yeah,
such
it's
as an ornament,
like wards
often
off evil.
inscribed with a magic, incantation,
Yeah.
or symbol to aid the wearer or protect against evil. So
Yeah.
it's something that Aaron Rodgers would wear.
It's the flip side of the Horcrux.
Whoa, we
in
can't
Harry
say that
Potter.
I don't know
word.
what that means.
We can't say that word on radio.
Yeah, you can say Horcrux on
Oh,
radio.
okay. All right. I was just being a little mischievous right there.
You were just being you.
Yeah, I was. I was being me.
You damn sure ain't cute.
I needed the horn. Never mind.
So what are we looking for over the next few days?
Just in general, though, like why coaches love these joint practices is what Belichick said, right? Like you're gonna get the most out of it. It's a real evaluation because you intentionally put guys in stressful situations. Like your I'll just go offense line first. O-line versus D-line is probably one of the biggest matchups. Like, you can get the real 7-on-7 against the defense with Titans defense and Titans offense. That's going to look as really it can actually get. Other than the fact or you've seen the schemes enough, the counterparts that you're going against. Look, Kevin Byard will break on the ball just like that, but not everybody's Kevin Byard. So maybe I can be a little bit more risky with the opposing team. And then it's the aspect of, the OL versus DL. There'll be a whole lot of like game sets that they're going to do. The one-on-ones, okay, we'll knock those out. Everybody get one time through. And then the point that matters the most, the 2-on-2s, the games that they run, D-line TEs, ETs, TTs, those types of things up the middle when you got like the tackle and guard versus the DN and D tackle, like those types of things gets real. Because what sucks about this is JPP don't give a damn about Aaron Brewer, okay? So guess what he's going to do if it's an ET? He's going to set up Taylor and bam, try to knock off Aaron Brewer's face. It's basically
take that oven mitt and just bap.
I'm talking about slap him with a tortilla. That's the challenge everybody's doing right now. If he's carrying a tortilla in his back pocket, he might slap Aaron Brewer with it because he really don't care about it. He's trying to get a winning rep against the Titans offensive line. On the other side of that, though, if Taylor is setting up JPP, guess what he's going to do? Set 1-2 and punch the heck out of him simply because I don't need you you're not on my team. So I'm going to get a real game time rep against you. You're going to be able to set up things and put your team in very hard situations. And that's why these practices are very productive. And I think they'll do as much as they possibly can as far as the physical aspect of it without taking a running back to the ground. Derek, you think he'll get a rep, Jay?
Yeah, you were right.
Yeah, that's the answer.
Not very many.
Not a lot to actually call you to do something, right? Derek will probably get some reps, but I guarantee you they won't be hitting Derek low. They won't be taking him to the ground if Derek gets any reps. I think it'll be live to a thud. It's kind of the way coaches kind of call it. So having the full defensive set for the Titans out there with the full offensive set for the Bucks, that would be a real thing. Watching Jeff, he can get a TFL. He's going to go take that. Rashad Weaver being a young guy. Zach blitzing up the middle. Like, those are real game time situations today that's going to happen in practice. That's why it's so productive because no matter what, Jay, the truth behind it all is teammates take care of teammates, even in camp settings. Like, young guys go wild and go crazy and, will come downhill and try to make a big splash to make the team. But ones versus ones, nobody's going to push Taylor all the way back into Tannehill. Nobody's going to be blitzing, a cross dog up the middle to get to the quarterback or get to the run. You won't get those in team-on-team situations, sure. Titans versus Titans. But today, you're going to get that. It's going to be loud. It's going to be a lot of chirping. It's going to be a lot of productive activity when it comes down to it, man. But with that, and you said Belichick went off and said he loves them. It's better than a preseason game. What they don't like is the big melees.
Yeah, the fights.
In which Patriots had that yesterday. They are practicing against the Panthers right now. Panthers and Patriots are practicing like the most unlikeliest matchup ever for a training camp, right? But I follow Pat McAfee, and there is a skirmish, Jay, all over the practice field. You got linemen running to the pile super early. You got folks that are just – this is what stops practice because a fight this big, 5 minutes. 6 minutes, 7 minutes. That's a period. Mm-hmm. That's like 7 plays that you've just lost right there. So that's the aspect of losing production whenever it comes down to these joint practices. And I can't wait to hear about it. I know the coaches are going to say what they're going to say as far as, hey, no fighting. Hey.
Yeah, Matt Rule said it yesterday too.
And what happened?
He was the other one involved in that.
Exactly. It's just that. And I see people. I'm actually on his profile right now. Somebody said, imagine being a grown man so insecure and fighting another grown man. Like, no.
Easy there, guy. Oh. Hey, here's Belichick, by the way, what he was saying that I referenced earlier about the combined practices.
More out of them. We can set up a lot more situations that'll come up that aren't going to come up in preseason games with the players who are most likely going to be playing them. I mean, that would be a good place to start. Certainly in a preseason game, you don't get individual one-on-ones or two-on-twos or those kind of individual matchups that show up in a practice session. So there's a lot of differences between practicing games. I mean, we could be here all day talking about that.
I don't need an offensive coordinator.
Riveting.
Matt Patricia's here because the Lions are paying for his contract, and we're under Cincinnati.
Is that really what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
Get out of here.
Yeah, Lions still paying a bunch of money to Patricia.
That's so Belichick-like. Well, technically, he's not on staff. He's still getting paid.
That's right.
What a guy, Bill. Don't let your friendship ruin your job, man, is all I'm telling you.
You know, these joint practices, you get a lot more out of them.
Jay, Shafe, just off top, what's the matchup you're looking for? Vrabel's handed out some challenges immediately after the game, right? We heard Buck kind of say he called Traylon now. He called out Malik.
Yep.
The consistency of wins and practices and carrying it over. Other than that, from rookies to vets, what's the matchup that you guys are like, yeah, I
Still
need to see
offensive
that.
line.
Oh, well.
I mean, the trench for sure.
Yeah.
is definitely something to keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm.
And then, look, you don't have Mike Evans. I remember him being here a few years ago for the joint practices and watching him just annihilate the Titans DBs.
He had a day like that?
He's good.
Yeah, I know
big
he's good.
I mean, he's great. But, I mean, I want to see how Farley does.
Yeah, who had an awesome Monday, wasn't it?
I want to see how he does against guys not wearing a uniform he's more used to.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to see the rookies performing against other guys who are competing as hard as they can for jobs too.
Yeah.
Or they're competing for spots on the depth chart to be part of the active 53, whatever. There are some guys, look, what have you heard a little bit about Kyle Phillips? And this is what Buck had told us, that Kyle's stuff in one-on-ones hadn't translated yet in the 7-on-7s and things like that. So that needs to change. Like, we need to see that, and this is going to be a good opportunity to potentially get a look at that. But I do think the O-line, D-line is where my attention is going to be.
Yeah.
Because I understand, as we all do, that the O-line is still a big question mark. Even if you like some of the guys, they're going to have to ball out.
Yeah. Shafe, where you at? Same gang?
Definitely. I mean, I still have concerns over Aaron Brewer that people from the facility don't seem to share, and that's fine. I have some concerns about Dylan Radins.
Yes.
And I'm becoming a big fan of NPF.
Yep.
For me, when it comes to Caleb Farley, I think it's just reps. I think we've seen that the talent and the ability is there. He's just got to get the quality reps in. And I'm a little curious to the depth defensively outside of the starters. We know what we have in the starters on this line. There's no doubt about that. I'm a little more concerned about the depth defensively, and especially the roster moves you saw yesterday. They're starting to load up in the secondary a little bit because they've had some nicks and some bumps out there with Molden and Amani Hooker. So a little concerned about that depth secondary-wise.
And I also think, because you mentioned it, Traylon's got to show out. Like, Traylon, we're getting to that point where Traylon needs to start doing some things.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be the guy that's being called out by his coach for being not as consistent as they want him to be and things like that. And here, he's going to be dealing with guys that are going to want to embarrass him. Mm-hmm. Because that's the other thing about these joint practices is dudes want to embarrass each other. It's how they end up fighting.
The ego component of this. That's one thing I will say, and I know other sports are the same way too. We're watching. I forget the basketball player that's doing these pickup games. Paolo Banchero, the guy that was going up against him. I forget his name. Gosh, remember I showed you bouncing the ball off his head and stuff like. Egos are real. That one up thing in football. I don't know if there's another sport that will one up you worse. Than what football does, because you can legitimately, to your point, Jay, humiliate somebody. I can catch you slipping across the middle and end your whole practice. I can allow you to have not one catch the entire day. I can toss you into your quarterback on a pass pro. As a linebacker covering a tight end, I can embarrass you so bad that when you get to film, it's just going to strike a match. You're just going to be ticked off all day long, all night long, because it's the physical aspect of football. And not just that, because I know hockey is very physical. I know, baseball ain't as physical. It's not really physical at all unless you're charging home plate. Basketball can get physical.
No, I think it's basketball because you can be shown up so publicly because you're not behind helmets and pads.
You think basketball is a little bit more?
In terms of how you can be
Face
publicly
guarding.
embarrassed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Because it can be
that's
made
true.
just a one-on-one game.
You don't generally get posterized in football.
you get mossed.
You get mossed.
You get Megatron.
No, I'm going to push back and say I think you can pancake a guy so bad. You can catch him in the air and flat back him and
But my
roll
point
your,
is that there's 22 people on the field.
well,
So it's not as noticeable
it's
as
not
it
as,
is.
okay, that's
There's
especially in
space. There's
basketball.
space to see Brandon Knight get annihilated by DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah. Or Ja just
So
posterizing
it's not
somebody.
that the impact isn't the same. It's just it's more accessible.
You see it.
Yes.
Well, I'll say this. With football, you can physically impact somebody to where it's that bad.
No doubt.
You know, and that's where the ego stroke of this week, as far as Traylon's concerned, as far as Kyle Phillips, and truthfully, if they pick off Malik in some practices, high step into the other end zone, like, that's what we're looking to not
Also, where
happen.
the bull rush is coming from. Who's going to get over their skis?
Defensively for them, a bunch of games. Can I say the PRI? See, I can't say that word. Well, give me another word for that on air.
Jerk?
Jerk. No, because jerk sounds real bad.
This freaking clown.
Agitators.
Freaking bum.
They got some agitators on this team that I know I've seen, I've played against. Akeem Hicks, he might only get 5 reps. But listen to me. That guy's a hog. That guy loves to embarrass. He laughs while he does, and he's a big body. Watching him, Vita Vea, William Golston, gonna be very interesting. Rakeem Nunez Roaches, he's gonna be another guy like that. Logan Hall, I know pretty well. These are guys today, to our point about watching these bull rushes, is gonna get serious, Jay.
Yeah, I know it is.
I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
And I'm not saying the Titans are going to succumb to it or just roll. No. It's seeing the matchup on paper to what I can expect it to be like. If Aaron Brewer suffers a $2 steak, he's going to have to show it today.
615-737-1045 is the telephone number. 737-1045. Aaron Rodgers. Not in the Nick Cage outfit, even though apparently he has a Nick Cage bust in his locker.
He don't know who sent it.
Well, I mean, this whole thing's kind of weird.
Hey, Aaron.
Quit bitching.
Yeah, about his receivers. We'll talk about that. Bull rushes. It's going to be fun today. It's Jay Martin on 104.5 The Zone. Hopefully we're starting to get a little bit past some of the really, really hot weather. I know there's probably some hot days still to come. Today's going to be nice, but you've probably seen this, or if you have, you need to do something about it. Dry soil, it's cracking. I've been telling you about this for a couple of weeks now. Pulling away from your home, leaving holes or gaps next to your foundation. If you got that and cracked brick, that's a sign of settlement. You need a foundation repair inspection. And so you need to call United Structural Systems. Here for over a quarter of a century, over 23,000 satisfied residential customers, not a, but the go-to company when it comes to foundation repair and waterproofing. All those issues, all of them are not DIY projects. These are, you got to have experts with the right equipment, know-how, all of those kinds of things. There are a lot of reasons for this, but there's only one solution. And it is the problem solvers, the ones that want to take the stress out of your home repair. That's United Structural Systems. A free estimate before you have to do anything. They're not going to find stuff that's not wrong. So they're not going to find a way to overcharge you. They would rather do nothing, as a matter of fact, and walk away and say, hey, everything's good for right now, than earn your business on a false pretense, because they'll earn it later. Eventually, if you have this issue, you're going to remember how you were treated. So nothing to lose and everything to gain for your home. 615-227-2275. Find out how much it's going to cost to fix from the people I trust. 227-2275, or go to USSTN.com. By the way, if you go to that website, you can see kind of some information that might help you be able to diagnose, at least see, hey, this might be a foundation issue. I need to call USS. That's very helpful. 227-2275, or online at USSTN.com. United Structural Systems.
Coming up tomorrow, the return of Titans Ticket Thursday. Tune in all day tomorrow for your chance to win tickets to see your Tennessee Titans host the Bucs this Saturday at Nissan Stadium. For additional chances to win, text Titan UP to 615-737-1045.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. Aaron Rodgers has decided that it is time to get off the ayahuasca.
Why is that, Jay?
Because now he realizes he didn't have receivers.
What? But he was out of town. He was out of town when Devontae left. Like, what do you mean, Jay?
He's got drops. He's got receivers. He wasn't sending them toward Alan Lazard, who he thinks is a legit number one. Okay.
All right.
Nor was it pointed at Randall Cobb, his buddy.
That's his dog, man. I need somebody to sell out for me.
Ride or die like that, man.
Dog. That's his partner, man. Like, golly, whatever he needs. Hey, Aaron, I need $2 million. All right, say less.
Here's Aaron Rodgers, actually, if you haven't heard this. This is Namaste himself.
The young guys, they got to, especially young receivers, we got to be way more consistent. A lot of drops, a lot of bad route decisions, run the wrong route. So we gotta get better in that area.
Yeah. He said, you keep dropping the ball, you're not going to be out there. Most reliable guys out there. Preparation, job, responsibility, most important. There's going to be physical mistakes like we talked about, but if you're going out there dropping the ball and somebody else behind you is in the right spot all the time, that guy's going to play. He called out Amari Rodgers.
Yep, sure did.
He called out a few guys for running the wrong routes.
Drops.
He tried to basically say Jordan Love wasn't responsible for his own play.
Yep.
In that preseason game, it was all on the receivers.
Mm-hmm.
So
who did he call out as far as he didn't necessarily trash him, but he also said that was my best throw of the day. You saw that in the article too?
Yeah.
That was my best throw of the day, and he dropped it or it got broken up. Go ahead, Jay. I didn't mean to cut you off, but he really he laid in.
Yeah, he went after Dobbs.
Yep.
Is that the guy's name?
Dobbs.
Yeah, Romeo Dobbs.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, best throw of the day. And what do you say? It's way before body positioning and movement and throw. Are you in the right spot at the right time? Are you running the right route?
Yeah.
So it's Aaron Rodgers, so it's going to be charged.
It is.
Is he doing this to motivate these guys because he is such a legend in the league, such a superstar, that this is the same thing as Vrabel telling Jim Wyatt Traylon Burks needs to be more consistent, or that Malik was pulled, and letting people know that. Almost like, hey, young buck, listen in. This is for you. I'm not really telling the public this. I'm telling you this through the public. I'm negotiating through the public. Is that what Aaron Rodgers is doing? Is this a motivational tactic and not as petty and whiny and all of that as it might come across? Because he is a savvy guy.
He's super. I'll say this. Because of who he is, what is he, 4-time MVP?
Mm-hmm.
Because of who he is, he has the right to say this. Nobody's going to push back on Aaron Rodgers saying anything like this, right, Jay? I get it. He's that dude. He's also with that Christian Watson, who's their highest drafted receiver in 20 years. And also, as he calls him, Bobby, Robert Tonyan is coming back from the ACL. But, Jay, he's complaining about a bunch of young receivers after losing Devontae, right? I'm getting to my point, I promise you. He's complaining about these guys that he has no chemistry with, that they can't get their body position right, that they can't run the right route, that they can't be where he wants them to be. Jason, let me ask you something. Where was he this whole offseason? He wasn't in Green Bay. What is OTAs for? Any vet in the NFL say they don't like it, but when you're in a position that Green Bay was in with a quarterback that has virtually all new receivers, because Tonyan's not in, Devontae's gone.
And MVS is gone. And you love Randall Cobb, but Randall Cobb, amazing slot guy. Love him, okay? Tennessee native. But where was he all offseason to build this chemistry? What did Ryan Tannehill benefit from other than the fact that Traylon Burks wasn't there? He saw him. He worked with all of those guys. That's what OTAs is about. And if you still had all the guys you had, it's more excusable to miss.
To miss then.
But when you've got your entire receiver room has turned over basically, and you just signed this big deal and signed it for $250 million. Don't expect me to have a lot of sympathy for you because the reason Devontae's not there is because he wasn't sure you were going to be there.
Zero.
That's kind of been revealed since the fact. And I think past that, he might have been tired of your act, but you had that chemistry. That was the best one. That was the best chemistry punch in the league.
Yep. Like, he has the right to say, to be challenged by a Hall of Famer. Oh, Jay, I'm taking that. I'm working even harder. I'm doing whatever. But Aaron, you missed that opportunity to gel with these guys. You can't go on the road to New Orleans in a joint practice and expect them to run the route the way you want them to when you've seen them for only 12 days. You can't build any chemistry in that time. I thought it was a little premature to talk bad to those guys or talk down on them.
Yeah, do it towards the end of camp if it's not gotten better.
Jay, he missed all of the offseason.
I also just wonder, do you have to do it this way, or can you just go to Amari Rodgers and say, hey, Amari, really talented. You got to be better here. You got to do this better. Like, is that going to be seen better by a young guy than going in public and making sure the media sees, hey, this is Amari Rodgers who's not getting it done right now?
Aaron, you've barely been around. I think he missed all of last season, and he missed all of this season. He's missed 2 off seasons with Amari Rodgers. He has the right to call him out.
But we have the right to then kind of side-eye and be like, well, you didn't help the situation.
You didn't help it at all, Aaron.
Brian Curtis said over at The Ringer, wrote a really fun piece about media training camp 101. A lot of the cliches that you hear year after year after year when you go to training camp. We're going to go through some of that and have a good time. Then Rhett Bryan's going to come in 25 minutes. We're going to get geeked up about these combined practices. Hour 2 is next on The Zone.
Tighten up! Gas pedal!
Rental fees have gone up like 21% this year in Nashville. If you're renting, you're probably trying not to at some point because you know you're not creating equity for your financial future. You're probably doing that because you're a little bit younger. And we know a lot of our audience are in their, early stages of adulthood. Like, you might have found that career. Maybe you found the wife. You've had your first kid. All those kinds of things are starting to fall into place. And so now it's time to move from the rental world, which, look, there can be some advantages, but there are a whole lot of disadvantages to it, and moving into that first home. So how do you do it? Who do you call? How overwhelmed can I feel in one 60-second spot? There's a lot that goes into this. There's a big decision in front of you. It can be easy to get overwhelmed and not know when to start and where to start, but that just means you're like everybody else that's doing the same thing you are. Talking with a mortgage expert can help you get on the right track, understand that process, make a plan that utilizes your best options, and that's where Mortgage Investors Group comes in. They're the Southeast's leading mortgage lender, and you can get a loan from a lot of places, but can you get one that actually fits you? Can you get the right home loan for you and your situation, your family, and your budget? That's what they specialize in. Their team of mortgage experts cares. They're committed to helping you close on time, structure things right, realize those dreams. Let Mortgage Investors Group work for you. Go to migonline.com today. That's migonline.com. You can get everything you need to get started there and find the office nearest you, or text 3 simple letters, MIG, to 31399. MIG to 31399 to get pre-qualified. Mortgage Investors Group, the right home loan, equal housing lender, license number 109111.
It's 7:03. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. Titans made several roster moves yesterday, including the mandatory cut down from 90 to 85 players. The two most notable cuts, wide receiver Josh Malone of VFL, also station camp product, and running back Jordan Wilkins. The team claimed defensive back Lonnie Johnson Jr. off waivers from the Chiefs. He played 44 games and started 19 in 3 seasons with the Houston Texans. The Titans also reportedly acquired Raiders safety Tyree Gillespie in a trade. He was a 4th-round pick of the Raiders in 2021. Braves shut out the Mets 5-0 yesterday. Atlanta's taken the first 2 games of their 4-game home series against New York. Also, the Braves agreed to an 8-year, $72 million contract extension with outfielder Michael Harris II. And Middleborough, Massachusetts, taking on Nolensville today in the Little League World Series. 2 o'clock will be the first pitch for that. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once. On your Over the Titans and the Vols, this is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Hour 2, J. Martin and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone, lifted up by all Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Ramon Foster's here, Jonathan Schaefer's here. I'm here. I'm Jason Martin at J. Martin Ramon on Twitter. Rhett, Bryan, next segment live in studio. Jason in Nashville right now on the airwaves. Jason, what's up?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to kind of hit on this Aaron Rodgers thing. I know I caught the tail end of it, so you may have said some of the stuff that I'm going to say. But, I mean, when you take up majority of your team's salary cap, lose your main receivers, don't show up in training camp, and then run around here with your hair down and you know, looking like a prima donna and not focused on everything else, what do you expect? Why do you expect these players? You know, I don't get that. If anything, if this is going to show me how true he is when he's stuck in a situation like that, because he's going to have to make the players around him better, like Brady did when he was in New England. So that's just kind of my thoughts on it. I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand why he's going to respect anybody hearing him complain, knowing what he's been doing. That's all I'm saying. So thanks for taking my call.
Sure. I mean, look, there's nothing non-factual about that's Aaron Rodgers' show.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, he's the one that no Devontae Adams there. He took up all the money. He took all the money. There was no discount here. None of that stuff. Yeah. All the things that were out there, nope, I took the most money. And I wanted everybody to know I was the guy that had taken the most money. Yep. And then Deshaun happened. But he is, I think that's why he's like, I got to light a fire under these guys because they're not as good as I thought they were. It's like, I don't know how you didn't know that if that's the case.
You could blanket a whole lot. You can put a Band-Aid on a whole lot of stuff when you got Devontae. Because Devontae leads to other guys getting open. Like, Lazard is not Devontae right now. Can't Aaron Rodgers make him into another superstar? Heck yeah. That's what he is. Aaron Rodgers has done it. That's what those franchise-like quarterbacks do. I mean, I know Tariq was very unique, but, I mean, let's be real. Patrick Mahomes plays a part in that. Aaron Rodgers to Tom Brady effect. Like, we've seen how many, I guess, just above line athletes have we seen New England have to where Tom has just created monsters out of them all. Edelman, come on, like, look at his position that he was in, undersized guy that become a stud in his league. He's done those types of things, man. Look at all of the franchise guys that have played in his league. They've done. Peyton. How many guys did he make? I know Harvey Madison was a guy that's super talented.
But, I mean, Reggie Wayne.
Like, there's a lot of dudes that come under that umbrella of guys. The way Ben has kind of helped guys evolve a little bit. Like, you look at Drew Brees. Those type of guys, he find a way to make them into stars. Antonio Brown been a 6th-round draft pick. Very talented. But, of course, having faith in those guys, continue to feed them the ball is how Aaron has the ability to do that. If you also have another guy that can take away from Lazard or these other young guys on his roster. He was a guy that wanted no offseason. These are the results of it, Jay. He showed up for mandatory minicamp. That was it.
And it's a problem when you haven't worked with these guys before. It doesn't just click like that.
No.
Because if it did, it'd be a lot easier to pick wide receivers into the NFL.
Yeah.
It requires a lot of work and time and all that, which is why I think Tannehill is likely to have a good year because he's actually had his crop of guys out there this year. Unlike last year when Julio wasn't there.
No. AJ.
And AJ was banged up half the time.
Yep.
He's out there working with – you wonder why NWI was probably his most consistent target last year.
Yeah.
NWI was out there.
He was there. Even the tight ends were in and out of the lineup last year as far as the Titans goes, right?
That's true.
Like, now look at what he has. What's the excitement around Hooper? He's there.
Hooper is saying to the media, man, really enjoying working with Tannehill. Like, again, because he's working with Tannehill.
Daily. Like, that's exactly, like, and it might not be a every rep thing. Even if he's working with Malika Logan Woodside, hey, on that route, I need you to be here with me. Like, you can see things if he's sitting out. Like, that's the thing about OTAs, man. One, it's a good time because you're around your guys. But you do create that cohesion, that chemistry, some of it anyhow, to where those on-air routes, those on-air reps, they do go a long way when you're not restarting in camp. Like, and that's where he's at right now. Like, I know he's got to be embarrassed as far as Aaron Rodgers go because, as Jason said a second ago in his call, like, you're the guy that kind of caused this. Like, you can't just make wine overnight when it comes, unless it's a bathtub brew in prison or something like that, maybe. But it's still got to ferment and grow.
That's only if you have no options.
No, he had options.
Yeah.
You taking up a large part of that cap. Guess what comes on that? Lot of weight of that team's success on your shoulders, and they still are without Bakhtiari right now. You know, Green Bay might not make the playoffs. Like, if they don't get this together,
I wouldn't be shocked. Problem is, look, the Lions are going to be better, but the Lions aren't a playoff team yet.
Yeah.
The Bears maybe are the worst team in the league, if not Seattle.
Yeah.
But it's one of the two of them. Minnesota is the trendy pick. Now, I want to see it, but I do understand the philosophy behind Cousins finally has an offensive guy that's not going to throw him and everybody under the bus when it goes south. A guy that's coming from a successful place. He's got Dalvin. He's got, I think, the best receiver in football right now in Justin Jefferson, who said he wants to be.
With Thielen.
And Thielen is still there.
Yeah. With an OL.
And Irv Smith is coming back.
With a defense.
Like, I do understand why people are high on Minnesota.
Yeah, I can see that, especially in their division. And again, Aaron is Aaron, and maybe they get on the same page before the season starts. But there's value, as you said, Jay, in having your guys available, and also you willing to be available. Like, franchise quarterbacks don't have to do much in that time of the year. You can choose to because, heck, you need me in the fall. But if you got all new young guys with no returning stud, like Lazard wasn't the number one last year.
He was the number 3.
Yeah. That's you put your teammates in a bad position when you get this type of selfishness.
And then I would even say about the drops and all that kind of stuff. Look, I'm not a wide receiver and certainly not an NFL wide receiver. I know he throws a good ball, but don't you want to get comfortable with how his ball finds its way to you in space?
Yeah, dog.
Where's it going to land? Usually it's going to be where you want it, but he's got to know where you want it. And to know where you want it, you have to work with the guy long enough to understand those nuances. That's why Brady's doing calculus equations in the offseason throughout his career in California with his receivers, because he's like, if I throw this, and I've seen this story written, if I throw this 5 millimeters more to the right, you'll beat the guy.
Yeah.
Like that kind of there's a reason why he's the GOAT, folks. Because he did all the little stuff.
And Aaron is still very unique, man. You know, so I'm not counting him out. It's just
hard to have sympathy for, because a lot of this is his own doing.
Yeah.
I understand what he's saying, and I do think it can be a motivating tactic. But at the same time, I just kind of roll my eyes at it.
You know what I'd be as a young guy? I'd be like, screw that dude.
Screw the kids.
Hold that.
Bernie Mac voice.
Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio will join us on the other side. We didn't do the ringer piece stuff. We'll bump that and do it at the top of hour 3.
Yeah.
But Rhett will talk all things two-tone blue with the combined practices. What are we going to see out there today and tomorrow? And what does he make of Josh Malone and some of the things that happened yesterday as well? Lonnie Johnson, we hadn't gotten to talk too much about that yet. We'll jump into all that with Rhett next. Jay Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. So think about your car. It's not just a steering wheel. It's not just four tires. It's a whole lot of moving parts that can go bad real fast if they're not maintained properly. Now, think about your home. As many parts as are in your car, think about how often you're in your home and how many things can go wrong in your home. That's why Lee Company advises customers to invest in a home maintenance plan to make sure that their home is running well all year. If you sign up today, it's less than $9 a month. You'll receive 4 comprehensive tune-ups from 4 expert technicians every year to ensure everything is going right at the time it's mattered most. They'll ensure your cooling, your heating, your plumbing, your electrical systems are always in tip-top shape. I'm a home maintenance plan member. I love it. Every time they've come out, it's been for a good reason. They have found a couple of minor things, and then, you can bring them back out and make sure everything is taken care of. But cooling and air conditioning inspection before it got too hot, heating system inspection before it gets too cold, plumbing inspection, electrical safety, energy inspection, all those things. Lee Company takes care of all of it for $99 a year. It's $825 a month, 4 service visits a year. Call them today. Do this for yourself. Do this for your home and your family. 615-567-1000. That's 567-1000 for Lee Company. All you need. Welcome back. J. Mart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Tampa Bay is in town. Combined practice day 1 today, and then, of course, day 2, and then the preseason game Saturday. Titans Radio will have you taken care of Saturday evening. Rhett, Bryan of the aforementioned Titans Radio joining us here on ye old program here on this Wednesday. It's going to be a nice day for this. Not going to be too warm. It looks like it's going to rain. There's a little fog outside.
The fog.
No, the weather, it's like Chamber of Commerce.
It looks like it's creeping this way, though.
Yeah, I see it building here out both of the sets of windows here. It was kind of weird driving up the interstate to see it in weaving in between the buildings.
Hey, y'all be safe now.
In downtown. It's supposed to burn off, I think, about 9.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be unseasonably cool for August the 17th. I don't, or 18th, whatever day it is. I don't even, what day is it?
8th to 17th.
Okay, I had it right first time.
God, that fog is literally moving this way. I hate to interrupt that, but yeah, go.
Oh, you're good.
I'll say this type of weather today for a guy practicing, big guys, that is. Beautiful. You're going to get maximum output today.
I heard you guys in hour 1, and I think you're right. I think the first place I would go to in the first of these 2 consecutive joint practices with the Buccaneers is the trenches. In particular, the Titans O-line versus their D-line.
Yes.
Jason Pierre-Paul, Vita Vea. I mean, they've got some dudes now.
That new acquisition, Akeem Hicks.
Yep.
That's a hog, man.
Yep.
And not just that, he's tall. I ain't going to say I didn't hate going up against him, but always my toughest matchups with big dudes with long arms.
Space eater.
Yeah. That's him. And he's such a vet. He utilizes all his weapons as far as his natural gifts and ability. This now, again, you might just get 3 plays out of him. But
those 3 plays are going to be something, though.
Hold on for the ride sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah, hold on for the ride.
Yeah, keep all the hats, sunglasses, and personal items inside the ride, and keep your arms inside the ride at all times.
Keep feet inside the rows.
I would start there, and then I heard you play the Belichick cut about what is different about joint practices versus a preseason game. But he is right in the fact that, these one-on-ones, I can't wait to see wide receivers versus DBs, regardless that there's not a Mike Evans here in Nashville for these 2
you
things.
You won't get a whole lot from them this weekend. All right.
But I want to see some DBs versus wide receivers. And then, obviously, you get into red zone stuff and 7-on-7, 11-on-11. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that you can get out of these practices. And, this is a good teaching moment for all these young kids, for the Malik Willises and Traylon Burks and all those guys. So, it's interesting to me to see how this has kind of shifted over the last several years from 4 preseason games, 3 preseason games. And, there used to be a thing about, preseason game number 3 is where the starters will play a half and then they'll go inside, go to the cool down period, come back out, warm up, play 1 series, and then the 2s and 3s will get in. Nope, not anymore.
No.
And another one. I feel like Derrick Henry will get some carries today.
Well,
how many?
About that.
I don't know, but you're not going to run them in the preseason. So this would be the day. Today and tomorrow would be the days to get your reps in, as far as that goes.
One aspect of running backs, we look on the other side of the ball. You got Leonard Fournette on that side of the ball. Who's his backup running back? Why? Keyshawn Vaughn.
Oh, yeah.
Keyshawn Vaughn and Giovanni Bernard.
Yeah.
That's
now, we haven't been speaking a whole lot about this, but the linebackers for the Titans, though. Zach Cunningham getting some work against Leonard Fournette, Keyshawn Vaughn, and Giovanni Bernard. Like, as far as the passing game goes, and not just him, all the other young guys too, Rhett, at that position. Like, we got to keep an eye on that this preseason, man.
Sure.
And just how they respond to it, and truthfully, try to figure out if Zach can stay on the field all 3 downs.
Well, and the other part, let's go to his counterpart at inside linebacker right there next to him in David Long, who has to stay on the field. He missed, 7 games last year, and I have no doubt about his abilities at all. Availability is what needs to happen. Yeah. And hopefully that will continue to be a thing for number 51, because that's just as important as the Zach Cunningham part of the equation.
Vrabel issued that challenge, and Jay and I spoke about
I was actually thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah.
To go there. Vrabel has definitely, like he said, some things about Traylon to Jim Wyatt. He immediately talked about Malik. after that game. Clearly, he just wants them to hear.
Yeah.
He wants
it's
them
a
to hear
mouthpiece.
this.
Sure.
He wants them to hear this. What do you make of it all? What are you saying in terms of Traylon? It seems like Buck said they were a little disappointed so far in his consistency.
For Traylon, they want to see what he's done in practice transfer to the playing surface, to the playing field when the lights come on. Because, this will be the first time those guys will have the lights on Saturday night in the place where they're going to be playing all their home games, obviously. So, yeah, they want to see more of the consistency that they have seen in the first 2 weeks of training camp. And, for Malik, listen, Malik is a work in progress.
Yes.
And you'll see days where he's a little better than others, and you'll see him take a step back and then he'll take a step forward. And, the big thing with him, and he mentioned it, Coach Mack has mentioned it multiple times, getting the eyes, the hands, and the feet all together in sync. In synchrony, and getting rid of the ball with that clock in his head. And look, playing at Liberty and coming to the NFL, that's a mighty big leap.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a learning curve for him. He's a smart young man, and, he is doing his best to drink out of the fire hose, if you will. But, he's a guy that the reason he was mentioned, and of course, when Coach Vrabel said, hey, look, I pulled him into third because he wasn't getting rid of the ball, basically.
Yeah.
And, that's for his own good, his own safety, and, all of those things. And, again, it's a teachable moment.
Moving forward with these young guys, these rookies, man, Theo Jackson, Chance Campbell, and we may as well throw Rashad Weaver into the fire, too, considering, his season got cut short a little bit, man. But how do we evaluate them against them? What are you looking from them when it comes down to the offense that the Bucs going to run at them and how they respond in this practice? Theo, by the way, had a good start to preseason game 1.
Yeah, well, and with and Theo is he's a pretty long dude anyway. I think what they're wanting out of him is to see more of the tackling that he did at the University of Tennessee. They want to see more of those things.
Yeah.
And certainly that's working. That's his item. Part of his punch list is trying to get through those things that they want to see more of. Rashad Weaver, I think you just want to see more of what you saw last Thursday night in Baltimore. Because now that when he got out there, he looked like a 1 with a bunch of 2s and 3s, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because he was making it happen, and that's a guy that, man, the first game he got in last year, the leg had a problem and he was on IR, and he's worked his rear end off to get back. So that's a guy that, and he told me personally, he's like, listen, what I did in the preseason, people think I had a nice preseason last year. He said, that was trash. I looked at that film. It was awful. He said, I got nowhere to go but up. I mean, he is very humble when it comes to those things.
Which is kind of great.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, what a great plan to have that guy in your hip pocket if you ever, rotationally. Because that's the thing about him is he is so big and long to be at his position. And I like how he's just gotten after it in this thing. Yeah. Now, Chance Campbell, I'm glad you brought him up. I talked to his position coach, Bobby King, the other day at practice. They had all the offensive and defensive assistants available. He spoke very highly of Chance. Chance got a chance, pun intended, I guess, at this point.
I heard that.
To wear the green dot for the first time the other night in Baltimore. And he said that he really liked what he saw in that setting. So, these 2 practices will be good for him to kind of go back to whatever they need to work on that they saw of his in film from Baltimore and apply that today and tomorrow and get ready for Saturday night. But he was very complimentary of Chance Campbell.
Good. We always speak about the young guys because they're exciting and new. We don't know a whole lot about them either, Rhett.
Exciting and new.
Exciting and new. With that being said, man, Taylor's coming back off the ACL. Didn't play last game. Practice been fair. No setbacks, no none of that. Knocking on wood, as I say, all this type of stuff, man. But watching him up against Shaquille Barrett if he's practicing. JPP still there also. But watching him against their outside rushers, man, what does he need to show today if he's not going to play in this preseason game too?
Well, he just needs to show that Now, obviously, you can't touch the quarterback in these things. Just keep the Wolves away from the door. That's the biggest thing, don't you think? I mean, Ryan Tannehill sacked, 47 times last year?
Right.
You need to take that number way lower than that for sure. But I just think you want to see him, crisp in his sets and, violent hands to keep things shock and shed and get those dudes away from him and to kind of just keep Ryan Tannehill or whoever else is back there, and if he happens to be doing that for Logan Woodside, keep him away from the door.
Yeah, JPP's not on this roster, but they have a young guy, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. A young guy, probably going to get a whole lot of reps, long range. I remember watching him because he has a unique number.
He went to UW, right? University of Washington.
He's number 9, man, and I know they were very high on him and his rushes. Like watching him against Ravens, against NPF.
Sure.
This is a matchup where those young guys on the Titans offensive line got to find more wins and losses, because the thing about him is, separate from Dylan Radins and NPF, is he actually played last year and played a good bit too.
Yes, he did. He absolutely did. And they that was one of those where, they were coming off the world championship and they were like, it almost seemed like a flyer pick but they had there's a couple of places where they had some age in that defensive front with Ndamukong Suh, with JPP,
Yep.
So, yeah, he absolutely got a lot of play last year. And something about him, as big and long as he is, he kind of reminds me of a Rashad Weaver kind of thing.
Yes. Yep.
So, yeah, he
smaller,
is.
I think.
Yeah. But he is certainly somebody they're going to have to watch out today. There's all kinds of matchups between these dudes. And I heard you guys talking about the cuts they made, and then later they added Lonnie Johnson Jr., the former Houston Texan, and for a moment Kansas City Chief. Which I'm trying to remember. I think Lonnie, I believe he's a rapper. I believe he has a
tape or two.
Also known as, and I can't remember. I'm trying to remember. I remember him coming out in the 2019 draft because he's this, long dude. He's 6'2", 213 pounds. I went back and looked at his combine numbers. He had a 38-inch vertical leap. He ran a 4.52, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what happened in Kansas City that,
I mean, he didn't make the first cut.
No.
And they traded a 7th-round conditional pick.
And this guy was a second-round pick of the Houston Texans
in 2019. It's not like it's 2009 and
right.
He's 40. He's 26 years old at 6'2".
Right. And he went through a couple of JUCOs before he played at Kentucky for a couple of years. I'm trying to remember the story, but I think there's a background there. I'm just going to have to look back at
I just looked up Lonnie Johnson Jr. rapper. I didn't get anything.
Okay, well, maybe I've got him.
Musician.
Maybe I've got him mixed up with somebody else.
There is Alonzo Lonnie Johnson, American blues and jazz singer, guitarist, violinist, and songwriter, who passed away in 1970.
That Lonnie Johnson had some great stuff back in the day. Now, I know who that Lonnie Johnson
That's
is.
Lonnie Johnson, senior.
I think I've got him mixed up. There was another DB that played at Kentucky recently that was a rapper, and I can't remember who it was.
There's a DB that's QB1 in Green Bay, too.
See,
ooh,
that's the problem.
That's
Kentucky.
A different DB, too.
They want to rap.
But just as much a DB.
What's wrong with y'all? Rhett, we talked about the. When y'all gonna grow up?
Mo. Go ahead and try to take the show over now. Go ahead and try to transition out of this.
Hit the horns then. Hit the damn horns.
Go ahead.
No, I wanted to ask because the first 5 cuts did come up. And these are guys that probably didn't distinguish themselves as far as staying with the squad. We spoke about Josh Malone. If there's one coach that's excited today, it's Craig Aukerman, for a lot of different reasons, because he gets an opportunity to go live with his special teams groups, man. This is where some of those fringe guys get the opportunity, Rhett, to really make this team. And not just that, Stonehouse.
Ryan Stonehouse, the rookie from Colorado State, showed you the other night that he's got the leg.
But he threw off Randy.
Yeah. Him holding didn't work out real well.
That's right.
That's important too, Rhett.
Well, and that's why before anybody's ready to give up Brett Kern in the battle, Brett Kern is the savvy vet who's been there, done all that, and can Ryan Stonehouse place it the way that he places it? And the answer so far is not so much. But Stonehouse, good Lord, the hang time, I'm telling you, it's regularly around 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But, yeah, I'm excited to see some special teams periods. I want to see Racy.
Yeah.
I want to see Stonehouse. I want to see Kern, because Kern had a really nice day a couple days ago. You can tell he's dialed in now. And I'll tell you something else, too. This time a year ago when they went to Tampa, that was when they had another miniature COVID outbreak.
Yeah,
Remember, Coach Vrabel got it. Brett Kern got it, and I think he was pretty sick. So I think he's actually back feeling like old Brett Kern. And I think you're going to start to see that today and tomorrow and certainly Saturday night.
What if the fraternity with kicker and punter are so tight between Randy and between Brett that he kind of botched
Randy
it on?
shanked some kicks.
Can I be that? Can I be that evil this Wednesday?
That's a Netflix documentary waiting to happen right there.
Yeah. Whoa,
Is that your final answer? Lock
Randy
it in.
kicks it right. He's looking at Kern while he's doing it. He's just like,
my dog, I got you. but that type of stuff does matter, though. Jay brought up the point that Hassan Haskins, Derek gonna get the line share of the running back reps.
And it's good that Hassan Haskins, he played special teams in college. So we know that's how the bread's going to be buttered.
Yeah, for sure.
That's exactly why Racy McMath is in the position that he is right now to make this roster.
Okay.
Because he, think about it. He's a gunner.
Yep.
He can return it, and he's playing some wide receiver. Same thing with Hassan Haskins. He can play special teams. And I'm going to tell you something else. Hassan Haskins, watch him out of the backfield in the receiving game.
Straight up.
Little better than what people think, or maybe, we don't know. I don't always see Big Ten football. I don't pay attention to it as much as SEC because of where we are.
Yeah.
He can catch it out of the backfield, Hassan can.
We talked about it just a smidge yesterday as far as his offense goes. Will we see, because we saw a little bit last year, Derek kind of, pick up where he left off last year in the passing game?
Yeah. Oh, he was on track to completely blow up his career receiving numbers and yardage.
Yeah.
I think he had 18 catches through the 8 games, if I'm not mistaken.
Which is high volume for Derek.
Good Lord, yeah. Because he was never asked to do that at Alabama much. But, yeah, he was on track to obliterate that.
Yeah. Looking forward to seeing what this is going to be like, though. No fights. No, I told you. I know we're not supposed to talk about it, but I said my first to start a fight is Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah, well, we said if you were going for candidates.
If we were going for candidates.
Or somebody trying to start a fight with him because he won't shut up.
And probably your next in line is probably Lawan.
Yeah, even though I think at his age he might not want to get involved.
No, but I think Taylor will start the fight and be like, hey, can you come clean this up, man?
Yeah, he's more Enzo Amore than Big Cass at this point.
But Big Jeff, yeah, I'd say that's probably right.
Yeah, on the other side of the ball, I'm going with Fournette.
I mentioned that. I was just like, Fournette's kind of a...
Yeah.
Well, he's got a lot of weight behind those punches now.
Hey, now.
What? Did I just say that in my outside voice? I'm sorry.
Vita Vea, I think, is going to be the last shove guy, and it's going to tick off Ben or Aaron. So I'm throwing him in that pot.
By the way, talking about a space heater, you're talking about a Hicks, Vita Vea. That's some real estate right there.
Oh, God.
Ooh.
I want to know who the hold me back guy is. Hold me back. Hold me back.
I got him. You ready?
Yeah.
That's Taylor.
No, any quarterback.
Tannehill's not being held back.
That's probably right. Yeah.
Him or Ben Jones, because he can't wait to
That would have been my guess.
He's not saying hold me back. He's saying hold me up.
What? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and give you the live drop.
I'm going with
Carl
Ben.
Lewis. Uh-oh.
Excuse me?
Excuse me.
Oh,
yes.
man.
Yes,
but yeah, I'm really looking forward to today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
It should be good stuff, and always good to have joint practices with another team. I mean, hey, that was a different deal for you, man.
I hated him, though, Rhett.
I hate it here.
I hate it here. I hate it here. God. Right now, you know what's happening in that locker room? There's somebody talking to a young, you better not get beat today. You better. Hey,
sure.
You can get beat. Don't you get embarrassed. Like,
don't you let them come to our practice field and shove us around.
And the coaches are yelling.
You don't want to be accountable for that.
But it's like a parent. Don't you embarrass me today. Like, if I'm Taylor, I'm telling Dylan, hey, you better hold your own.
Well, then Mike Vrabel will throw you out of practice if the fight goes longer than a couple of seconds. He's going to throw you out.
You say that. But there's a little snarkiness to that. Like,
Sure.
all right, hold your own though.
Yeah, sure.
Oh God,
It's
I'm
gonna be fun.
anticipating it. Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
This was fun, boys. I'm ready to go out to St. Thomas Sports Park.
So am I, but I think I'm probably only going to catch about a half hour based on the Titans practice schedule is not conducive to us being out there.
Tell Buck live streaming. Heck, what is he doing? Laughing.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah, that's right. He's Buck rising around.
Exactly.
We'll come back on the other side. We'll rehyit a little bit of this. Also, ESPN picked a bounce back candidate for everybody.
Interesting.
One player for everybody in the league. Who did the Titans pick? You'll find out in 5 minutes on 104.5 The Zone.
Go now? Oh, yeah. Nah, I
You're
kid.
live, pal.
I kid.
You're
I
live,
kid.
pal.
I knew that. Well, there are so many reasons, though, to custom order your new Ford from Two Rivers Ford. Number one is that you know you're going to get the best price in town because Two Rivers Ford has always sold below MSRP, and they have continued to do this even with the supply chain issues. At Two Rivers Ford, they've always believed in giving their customers a great, honest, upfront price, which is probably why Two Rivers Ford is now selling to the grandkids and great-grandkids of some of their original customers. The next reason is they have non-commissioned salespeople. At Two Rivers Ford, their salespeople are there to help you, not to pressure you. So you can call them, text them, go out and kick the tires if you need to. You can spend as much time you want researching your vehicle. The Two Rivers Ford salespeople are paid to make sure you have a great experience. And finally, Two Rivers Ford is locally owned. They've been around since 1983, and they take a lot of pride in being part of this community. And if you're like me, you want to purchase from a local business that you know is going to be around to take care of you after the sale. They have an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. They've won Ford President's Award for customer satisfaction more time than I can count. And honestly, they're just great people to work with. So give my friends at Two Rivers Ford a call at toll-free 800-900-1000 or stop by and see them in Mount Juliet, just east of the airport, or online at tworiversford.com. Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people.
104.5 The Zone's 2022 Summer Golf Classic coming up Monday, the 29th of August at Greystone Golf Club. It's presented by Ferguson HVAC. It is almost sold out, so you need to hurry. Purchase your team now at 1045thezone.com. Enjoy a day teeing off with us. Thanks to Ferguson HVAC and some other proud sponsors in Southern Trophy House, TriStar Beverage, King & Associates, See More Putters, Fight DMD, and many, many others.
Gonna be fun. Thank you, Mr. Schaefer.
Thank you.
Also for the white stripes, I appreciate it. Thanks to Rhett, Bryan, for coming in before heading out to St. Thomas. Again, Titans didn't help us with these practice times. That's why I haven't been since before the pandemic. There were a few camps where I was there more often than not, but I haven't been in a few years.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna get about a 30-minute watch.
You'll get good.
Give or take.
You get about an hour 15.
No.
Yeah.
It ends at 11:05.
You sure?
Yeah. 9:25 to 11:05.
Oh, snap.
Both days.
Speed race over there. You got a speed race over there,
Get you a police
brother.
escort or something.
Yeah.
It's just, I'll see you a little bit.
Well, you know what they say, oatmeal better than no meal.
That's right.
Oatmeal better than no meal.
All right, so
better.
ESPN did, they and the writers for the teams picked one bounce back candidate for each NFL team.
Mm-hmm.
And for the Titans, they picked Bud Dupree. That's what Tehran had picked, and that's what some others had. I guess what ESPN backed up. A lot of it coming back from the injury. And maybe, well, you know what? Not maybe. He shouldn't have played as fast as he played.
Yeah, he was pushing through.
He was trying, and I appreciate that. But it set back, I think, what he could have done.
Mm-hmm.
But if he shows out the way you think he can, then that's exactly the kind of guy you want as a bounce-back candidate.
Facts. Because he can mean a lot to you. People in the chat were asking me about, Bud, have we ever had any run-ins in practice? And the answer is yes. Has he ever got me? The answer is yes. One, everybody gets got when it comes down to football like that. But I don't think people realize how big of a dude he is. What is Bud? I think like 6'4", like 260. I might be over under that. I'm giving him that. But his speed, his explosiveness, if he is the bounce-back guy, he actually answers that call. With him and Harold and just everybody else up front, this could be it could be special is what I'm saying. Like this, I think this defense is the platform for what this team is really balancing itself on. And if he gets right and Rashad gets right and Harold does what he does, it's pick your poison. It's really getting guys in one-on-one matchups. And the one thing about Bud is the sacks aren't there. As everybody look at the sacks. Look at the TFLs. Mm-hmm. Look at the way teams don't run to his side. Mm-hmm. If you make an offense one side, I dare you to run over here. And that's what his size and stature and his strengths are really when we look at the way he plays defense.
I look at that, and I think one thing that I feel really comfortable about this year is it's going to be really hard to run on this team. Because if you go outside and you're trying to go and bounce it outside, Bud's going to be there. Or David Long's going to be there. But if you then try to go back towards the middle, Zach's just sitting there to eat you alive. Yeah. Because that's what he does. And, of course, that's not even mentioned the front. I'm just talking about the guys on the second level when you get to that point. If you go back and watch Bud's film from his last couple of years in Pittsburgh, that's what you see is this dude that's all the way to the sidelines, pushing you to the boundary to make sure it's all east and west and not north-south.
Sir. Sacks do matter, but there's so much value in that, Jay.
So, by the way, this piece that I was referencing. It's ESPN combined with PFF.
Hey, now. Oh, PFF not huge on Bud either, so it's good.
No, we know that. Of his 24 pressures last season, 8 came in the final 2 games of the season. So, as he started to get a little healthier, he started to talk about his explosiveness and strength were coming back towards the end of the year. Well, his play started to pick up as well.
Yes.
So, I think he's a good candidate. And the kind of one that you want, because it's not like he had a bad year; he had a hurt year.
Yeah,
he needed a year, so now you hope you get what you paid for.
Yep.
When it comes to him, third hour of the program, straight ahead we'll have John Glennon at 8:20 from SI. We'll talk more Titans with him. Obviously, we are going to talk about the Bryan Curtis Ringer piece on Media Speak. These cliches that you're hearing outside of camp, that you hear year after year after year, really funny stuff. It would be fun to run through before we talk to Glennon. It's Jay Martin Ramon here, 104.5 The Zone.
As leaders in disaster cleanup and restoration, the pros at ServPro are prepared for anything. Like when that relief valve on your water heater fails, pouring gallons of water into your finished basement while you're out of town. Yeah, I know. That's a bad thought. But ServPro is prepared for it. Or when an electrical shortage in your office causes extensive smoke and water damage, ServPro is prepared for that. Or a musty odor indicates you might have a mold problem. ServPro is prepared for that too. You need a lot more than help sometimes cleaning up, and that's why ServPro is your one-stop shop when disaster strikes. Not only do they have the equipment and expertise to clean up damage from fire, water, or mold, but they also offer a variety of construction services ranging from drywall patching and document drawing all the way to complete structure rebuilds. There's just one call you need to make to bring your home or business back as good as new and as soon as possible. So if you're in need of cleanup from fire, water, or any unpleasant event, ServPro is always ready to help. Call ServPro and the official downtown Nashville operators at 800 ServPro to see how we can help you get back to like it never even happened. The number is 800 ServPro. ServPro, cleaning, restoration, construction, and franchise are independently owned and operated.
8:02, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. The Titans made several roster moves yesterday, including the mandatory cut down from 90 to 85 players. The two most notable cuts, VFL wide receiver Josh Malone and running back Jordan Wilkins. The team claimed defensive back Lonnie Johnson Jr. off waivers from the Chiefs. He played 44 games and started 19 in 3 seasons with the Houston Texans. And the Titans have acquired Raiders safety Tyree Gillespie in a trade. He was a 4th-round pick of the Raiders in 2021. Braves Mets yesterday.
Ground ball to first, diving stop by Olsen from a knee, throws to the bag, Braves win. Great play by Matt Olson. And the deficit for the Braves in the East down to 3.5 games. 8 wins in a row for the Braves, and tonight they blanked the Mets 5-0.
Game 3 of that series tonight at Truist Park. The Braves agreed to an 8-year, $72 million contract extension with outfielder Michael Harris II. And to the Little League World Series, Middleborough, Massachusetts taking on Nolensville today. Expected first pitch at 2 p.m. this afternoon. Bryan Foundation Repair and Waterproofing needs. Visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
.803 is the time. 104.5 The Zone, the place. It's Jay Martin Ramon here. Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer. I'm Jason Martin. John Glennon, Sports Illustrated. Coming up in the next segment. Always good to talk to Glennon.
JG.
Brian Curtis over at The Ringer, who covers media. He's really good at his gig. Has been for a very long time. He doesn't write like every day, but when he writes pieces, they're actually worth reading most of the time.
Great podcast, too, called The Press Box.
Yeah, he's really good press. He's just good at his job. NFL Media Training Camp 101, 15 essential rules for how football is covered in the summer. This is kind of a snark piece because he's looking at the media. He says, I spent the past week studying beat writers like beat writers study players. In their honor, 15 training camp notes. I believe the precise term is observations.
Yeah.
They can be used this summer or any time in the future. And this is pretty tremendous. Number 1, a player is in the best shape of his life.
Hell yeah.
A player may still claim to be in the best shape of his life, but the phrase has been so widely mocked that a writer is as likely to say a player spent the offseason remaking his body.
Yeah. That's hilarious. And I read through these phrases and I'm like, I've heard every single one. Either used by somebody or whatever. That's Lamar this offseason.
You know who that wasn't used about?
Who?
Leonard Fournette.
Oh.
Y'all petty as hell.
You know who also wasn't used about?
Who?
Chance Warmack.
Oh.
Excuse me?
Apparently, we're just calling people after being fat this morning. I don't know
Poor
why.
Chance just driving through the city going, what?
What? I ain't even do nothing.
I did nothing.
Shave. Where's the lie?
I didn't say you were wrong.
But what's so crazy about making that, though, is you can say that if a guy probably had a bad year or they do just so happen. You know when this happens, too? Can we talk about the timeline of when this happens? Contract year.
Yeah. That's when you remake everything.
You better. I look good this year, baby. Money on the line.
Upgraded from crepes to beignets.
Yeah, buddy.
Number 2, a player is betting on himself. A story that sounds like it was assigned by an agent. In some cases, it probably was.
Kirk Cousins.
Lamar.
Yep.
Maybe.
Tyreek. Okay. Who else is in that world? Orlando Brown right now.
Mhm.
Orlando Brown. Is there a Titan betting on himself? Did Harold last year bet on himself?
I don't know that he was getting the deal done yet.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if he was remaking his body.
Yeah.
Last year. 3, a young quarterback's getting more vocal. Young QBs, Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Davis Mills, Kenny Pickett, even Lamar Jackson, more vocal than ever at age 25. This story should be written when a quarterback corrects a wide receiver after a practice rep. See, that's what you do, Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
You don't go to the media and start talking about it.
You, Aaron Rodgers.
Jael has a great point. Best shape of your life isn't usually about year 5 in the NFL.
Yeah, right.
That's the best shape that
Spot
year. That's the best shape that year.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're probably banged up 5 years in the NFL.
You got 7
You got a knee
surgeries.
that's hanging on over here, just like
7 surgeries is the best shape of your life? No.
get up every morning, you have a cup of coffee, and then you spray WD-40 on all your joints.
Like, no.
Like Casey Hampton back in the day, you were A shape.
Yeah. D shape.
That shape was trapezoid. Number 4, things got a little chippy out there.
That's today.
Joint practice, Broncos, Cowboys. Bradley Chubb admitted tempers flared a little bit. Tempers do that in the heat of camp. Pats, Jags, Jets, Bucks, Lions, Niners, Steelers. Yeah. Little chippy out there.
That's when the coach basically says, y'all ruined my coaching time today. It was fights.
Number 5, a new coach has created a new culture. Mike McDaniel in Miami, new culture. Swagger not only permitted but encouraged. Mike McDaniel, who was openly upset that he missed Jeezy Day because he had to be at camp.
What?
Yeah.
That was so dumb.
He missed what?
He's a big sneakerhead, obviously.
Oh, yeah, he did say that. Okay, we talk about new culture. Derek Dooley, Lane Kiffin, Butch Jones. Yeah, let's not get into that one, okay?
Number 6, players who play the same position are feeding off each other. Might create a logjam. Players insist it's not a problem.
Hate when there's a logjam.
Oh, too.
Well, look, where's the logjam with the Titans right now? Probably wide receiver, right?
Probably wide receiver.
I mean, it's usually wide receiver for every team.
It is usually a running back because they're so dismissible. Yeah,
not after Wilkins being let go yesterday. That's opened up.
Okay, yeah, it's true.
Number 7,
This is the one.
iron sharpening iron.
Yay! Get out of here!
Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson said, and then Penny Sewell said, iron sharpens iron. Everybody knows that. Right, it's in the Bible.
Oh, my gosh. That's the one again. Like, duh, you're practicing every day. You're hitting each other. Get over it. God, I hate that one.
That's a cliche.
That's
right
a
there.
coach's term just to say, y'all better go hard. Instead of saying, it's on the line. It's just, I
A
hate
rookie
that
is a sponge. I have heard this year from somebody affiliated with the Titans.
one. Yeah.
Who was it? No. You know what?
Who?
I heard it about Jeff Jarrett said it about Austin Theory.
Austin Theory, really?
Because I was just like,
Smart.
Austin Theory's getting pushed hardcore, JJ.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff is just like, he's a sponge.
Yeah. Shout out to Double
Soaks up
J.
everything.
Yeah.
Suck it.
Might need to be a bigger sponge.
Yeah, but I mean, they better be. You're a rookie. You don't know anything. You better soak it all the way in.
But few veterans are going to tell them, I knew that guy was garbage the first time I saw him. That's in the piece.
Grow up, Shave. 9 is my favorite, though.
Steelers vet says of Kenny Pickett, I think he's done well. Jets vet says of Sauce Gardner, Ahmad. They told him you can't call him Sauce until he earns it in the NFL. Even though he's been called Sauce his whole life.
Yeah.
He is a guy that gets after it.
These cliches are so good.
Number 9, a veteran has taken a rookie under his wing. So, not what happened here.
I do like
based
that.
off Tannehill's thing. And I'm just kidding. I'm just bringing that
Why
back
you got
up.
to be that guy?
Because I know Tannehill didn't mean it how it was taken.
Listen how he's blaming you when he hit the sound, though.
We know it's not really his job, but he's not like shunning Malik Willis when he sees him.
Everybody calm down.
Simmer down.
Simmer down.
I
Every
do like
sponge
that
has a
one.
big brother, Moan.
I love that one. I'm going to be real. That was me. I love helping the young guys, though. But it is cliche.
Number 10, a young player did some good things and some bad things. Well, we're guilty of that because we've talked about Malik, Traylon,
Kyle.
Yeah.
I mean, Dylan. I mean, we can go all the way down the line. Dylon. Yeah, pretty much. All 5 Dylons.
Head coaches love being non-committal. Robert Sala's pre-injury take on Zach Wilson, Bill Belichick on Mac Jones, and then players start to sound the same. Cole Strange, Patriots rookie. There were things that I messed up, but I think there was a lot that I did well. Good to know.
It's another day.
That's why I like Rashad Weaver, because we all thought he flashed, and he's like, my tape was trash.
Yeah.
11. There are some things we need to clean up.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
what does coaches say? Either practice is getting good or practice getting bad. Like, you need to clean up something every single day. One of the game maxims for UT, the team that makes the fewest mistakes wins the game. Like, duh, it's going to happen. Ugh.
Number 12, a player is putting in extra work on the side field.
Can I get triggered real quick? Can I say this? The hard knocks that the Texans had when J.J. Watt was outside
The
at
battle ropes at 3 a.m. by himself with a camera crew with a spotlight on it. It's my favorite.
You remember that?
That's my favorite.
With the camera?
3 a.m. And it's like Liev Schreiber's like,
Yeah.
J.J. Watt knows that this league never sleeps.
Suck it. And it's not a shot at JJ, but I remember that one.
No.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is. It's a shot at JJ.
As it should be.
Not as a player, but as this public persona that he has built.
You know why that player is putting in extra work? Probably because he sucked the day before, okay? Like, he's minimizing his deficiencies. Like, every player puts in extra work. That's why this one's so cliche.
No, that's just yeah, that is a fair shot, by the way. If you were taking a shot, it's fine. I'll take it. A player's upset about his Madden rating. It's number 13.
I can't believe this one made it.
Even Geno Smith's insulted by his Madden rating.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be. The fact that he has one, meaning he's still in the league, is kind of stunning.
Anybody should be upset. It should be this guy.
Fire too slow.
Hey, you're right, though. You ain't wrong.
I'm not wrong.
You ain't
Do you
wrong.
think you were the slowest guy in the league?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely. I'm glad you asked that question, Jay. Abso-friggin-lutely not. There was some slugs out there, okay?
Who was slower than you?
I
That
don't
you
wanna
know for a
even-
fact you're like, that
call
dude.
him out.
You put me on the spot
names,
right
though.
now.
Who are you challenging to a 40
let
during
me
your
say
playing
this.
days?
Let me just drop this nugget real quick, okay? Even if I was fast enough to beat them out of a job.
Oh, there it is.
Hit me the horn, Shay! Yeah.
I just want to know if there's somebody you were like, I could take that guy.
In my mind, I did.
Walk up to the Madden people and be like, you think Fatso over there is better than me?
No,
You think he's faster than me?
you know I went
You
at
think,
him.
you think tons of fun over here. Pillsbury over here.
You know I went at him too, Jay.
Man, you ain't handsome.
Like, no, I might be slow, but you suck as a player.
My hands are fast.
These mitts. Welcome to my phone booth, partner. How many people get out of here? Not many.
14 players excited to start hitting someone else. That's today.
That was me. That's always the first game. They trick us, man.
And 15, the defense is ahead of the offense.
Woo! I love using that one. Because it is true, though. The defense gets started quicker than the offense does.
Then it says, or vice versa. This is really the ultimate training camp story. A new version can be written every day to inevitably scare the crap out of that team's fans. And then the reporter can add or quote the head coach saying, it's too early to say much. John Glennon will say a lot with us on the other side. We'll talk some Titans with John. It's Jay Martin, 104.5 The Zone.
Bobby Tree.
Genesis Diamond's most extreme values on diamond engagement rings. It's going to end Sunday at 5. That means you've got just a few more days to get the price of a lifetime on a certified GIA diamond ring. The response has been incredible. People drive for hours because they know you get to buy like a dealer buys. All GIA certified diamond rings on sale. A full 20% discount off the amazing everyday value price of Genesis. We're talking values you just didn't think were possible. Half carat? Yep. 20 carat? Yep. All handpicked for maximum brilliance, all graded by the most prestigious gem lab in the world. You're seeing jewelry store owners. You're seeing diamond dealers that are shopping alongside you. Every cut, every diamond, the largest GIA diamond ring selection you've ever seen now through Sunday at 5. Take advantage of this rare buying opportunity. Limit one per customer, please. Get the Genesis no middleman direct importer price, and then take an extra 20% off. All GIA diamond engagement rings now through Sunday only. My Jewelry Store, Genesis Diamonds should be yours. Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details. J. Martin, Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster and Jonathan Schaefer and Jason Martin at J. Martin and Ramon on Twitter. Hashtag don't fear the Reaper. Hashtag more cowbell. Marspan Real Estate Hotline. John Glennon, Sports Illustrated, with us on the line. John, good morning.
Morning, John.
Morning, guys. How are you?
Pretty good. Anything yesterday surprised you in terms of the 5 guys that were cut? I mean, nothing raised that much of an eyebrow. I know Malone had done some good things back a couple months ago, but it seemed like it was sort of trailing in the wrong direction, and other receivers were sort of supplanting him in the news cycle.
I think that's fair. Yeah, it was a lively off season, certainly for Malone. I think we certainly saw some splash, some good plays, but yeah, they tailed off. He wasn't making the same kind of plays, here early in training camp. Some of the other names, Jordan Wilkins is probably the biggest name. He did have some NFL experience, and he did have some time in the practice squad, but I think that role is kind of Dontrell Hilliard's right now, and that's where that stands. And maybe one of the other names that maybe raised an eyebrow, I thought Haskell Garrett would get a longer, look at defensive line. He was considered to be one of the better, undrafted free agents at defensive line, guy coming out of Ohio State, but just didn't do enough to impress. So Titans are down to 85.
What do you think of Lonnie Johnson? We've been kind of trying to piece together that story. The Chiefs acquired him, gave up a conditional 7th rounder to get him, and then cut him. And first cut, he couldn't even make it through that. I'm not sure what that says. I mean, he's 26. He's not 46.
Yeah, not a great sign, certainly. And I don't think he had a real good year in Houston last year. But he does have some background with Anthony Midget, the Titans secondary coach. He does have the ability to play both corner and play safety. He's probably more safety the last couple of seasons, but he does give you a little versatility, a little depth. And, the Titans, we kind of joke around sometimes about how often the Titans, grab guys with Texans background, but more often than not, they've had at least some success, picking up a lot of these guys. So, I think it's clear the Titans are having some depth issues, probably at safety, especially, Theo Jackson was out last practice, and, maybe A.J. Moore is looking more and more like he's just kind of a special teamer would be my guess at this point. So I think certainly some of these moves, you look not only at Lonnie Johnson, but, you trade for Tyree Gillespie, you signed Adrian Colbert recently, and you added Josh Kalu too. I think they're still looking for more competition at that safety spot.
With these joint practices coming up, I've constantly kind of brought this up as far as Vrabel challenging certain guys, man. And Belichick pretty much said this is where you're going to get the most work at. We played that clip earlier from him. Who needs the most work when it comes down to positionally making the team or getting in the rotation offensively or defensively?
Yeah, I'm going to be looking at a lot of different spots, but I don't think anyone more so than, the offensive line. And these are the kind of the questions we started camp with as well, and they probably haven't been defined or completely answered yet. Dylan Radins, is he going to secure that right tackle spot? He's going to go up against some pretty good defenders against Tampa Bay today. And that's a battle with Nicholas Petit-Frere. So I think the next couple of days are going to be really big, and potentially deciding a starter there, at least for the time being. And left guard too. I think we talked about it on the show maybe a couple weeks ago. Left guard Aaron Brewer. Everybody loves what Aaron Brewer brings to the table in terms of smarts, athleticism, speed, and so forth. But he has to prove he can hold up against some of the monsters in the league. And excuse me, we got a monster coming in Vita Vea from Tampa Bay. So that'll be a good look, I think, right there. And I think offensively, too, I'm eager to see, how this chemistry is working. Ryan Tannehill and some of his new receivers, not only Traylon Burks, but certainly Robert Woods, Chigo Kwanko, Austin Hooper, Kyle Phillips. So it'll be interesting to see how those guys look, going against first-teamers most likely in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, and as far as Nicholas Petit-Frere goes, they have a young guy on the other side of the defensive line that's probably going to get a whole lot of reps this time around. Joe Shoyinka. Watching him being a young guy going against other young guys, and not just for Nicholas Petit-Frere, but also for Dylan Radins. As far as settling this matchup at right tackle, could we get regular season starters after this week?
I think it's certainly a big step, because you're getting 2 full days. I think these practices will tell us much more in all likelihood than the game on Saturday. If form holds, the starters or potential starters probably won't play a lot against Tampa Bay, but this is 2 full days, going up against ones and twos on the other team. So I think it's going to be a huge step, and then you've got the Arizona practices and a game coming up with them as well. So really, I think decisions are being made, and maybe it's not only is it Dylan or Nicholas Petit-Frere, but also, is there still a possibility the Titans might look, for further help, on the offensive line if they don't feel like there's an immediate starter right there. Not saying it will happen, but, I'm saying that the question of who starts certainly hasn't been answered yet. So it's going to be very big, like I said, with some big guys. You mentioned Shoyinka, and they just signed Carl Nassib too. Mm-hmm. He'll no doubt put some pressure on the quarterback. So I think it's going to be a great test for those guys up front.
And that's the other part of it too. Like, do you expect, with those big guys they have up front with Akeem Hicks and Vita Vea, William Golston, they got some big boys, man. Derek getting work because the one thing is this is a game-like situation. Probably look full contact until you make contact on the running back. This could be a good showing for this new 5 up front for Derek coming back off the foot injury without being in front of the stadium right now, because I don't think he's going to play this weekend either.
Yeah, I don't see a ton of work. Would be my guess. Today for Derrick Henry or for this weekend. Maybe just a little bit more than normal, simply, or maybe a little bit more than last year, say, simply because he's coming off the injury. But I don't think they're going to risk too much with a guy like Derrick Henry. But certainly, you mentioned again in terms of blocking, and not only is it the guys up front for Tampa Bay, but obviously you're looking at a couple of tackling machines, at the inside linebacker spots for the Buccaneers, and Devin White and Levante David. So it's going to be good practice, to kind of get to that second level, eliminate some of the linebackers in the running game as well. Just a real test, as we knew coming into training camp, certainly the big questions were wide receiver and offensive line. And this, to me, these 2 days are going to be better tests than what we saw up in Baltimore and what we'll see in Tampa Bay in the preseason game. So, really looking forward to getting out there.
John Glennon with us here from Sports Illustrated. John, what are you seeing from Treylon Burks? We've heard kind of what Vrabel has had to say about being a little more consistent, translating what you're seeing practice-wise onto the field. And that's been said about a couple of different guys. But what are you seeing from Treylon Burks? You see anything concerning, or do you feel like his development is where it needs to be?
I'm not necessarily surprised where things are for Treylon Burks. I think maybe he's certainly, calmed down a bit in terms of not quite as many splash plays as we saw earlier in training camp. I think some of the good news as far as Treylon Burks, maybe in that first preseason game, he got a lot of praise for Rob Moore for his blocking, which is important. We know how important that is for the Titans. And I think there were certainly a couple of times, I think we've all seen the video clips, Treylon Burks was open, a couple of times for potential big games, in that game, and the ball just wasn't thrown to him, whereas maybe if you've got a veteran quarterback throwing, all of a sudden the Treylon Burks story looks a little bit different. But, in defense of Burks, too, you still got to remember, this is a guy who virtually no off season, so he had no real base coming into training camp. And remember, too, that this guy, played primarily slot, at Arkansas. A lot of his passes were just a few yards down the field and then let him run, let him break tackles, let him get behind blockers. So he's really, it's almost like learning a new position a little bit for Traylon Burks, going from primarily slot to outside. So, I think, you're going to see like a larger learning curve than what it was compared to an A.J. Brown when he was coming out of Ole Miss, which was more of a passing attack designed, to kind of transition to the NFL a little bit easier.
I'll be honest with you, Glenn. I'm with you, and your first, the first question I had, which was the O-line, D-line, just simply because I've played against a few of those guys. I hadn't played against Vita Vea, but I've seen what he's capable of doing. He's a high-paid nose tackle. And having Ben and having Aaron and having Brewer, I know the athletic side of what they bring to the table is, as far as them being able to get in space, reach a guy real quick, because they are heavier defensive linemen, so they're a little bit slower. That's where their advantage is. But the Titans' offense worked like this: run good, get really good yards, and then the play action. How will those guys hold up as far as Aaron Brewer and Nate at those guard positions when those plays are extended? And are you a little bit concerned about this, considering we get to see that type of rush without sacking the quarterback?
Yeah, I think certainly you have to be. I think that was one of the main concerns. We knew coming into training camp, Ryan Tannehill, in terms of the passing attack, Ryan Tannehill was sacked, almost 50 times last year. That stat has to improve. At the same time, you lost Roger Saffold. So the question, about Aaron Brewer is, I think everybody loves that versatility, the speed, the athleticism. But at certain points, when Vita Vea and his whatever he is, 320 pounds or 310 pounds, when he comes charging at an Aaron Brewer and a bull rush, are you going to be able to stand up to that? Because that's not going to be the only time that's going to happen. This year, certainly, we're going to see that time and time again if he can't hold up to it. So I think it's a good test there, and I think on the other side, I think Dylan Radins has proven he is more effective, as a run blocker, and that's probably no surprise given his background at North Dakota State. They ran a ton of times. They only threw about 20 times a game his last two full seasons. But what he has to show too, is that pass pro. You just can't have a situation. You have to improve upon last year for Ryan Tannehill. You certainly can't go downhill at all. And I think Nicholas Petit-Frere is really starting to push at Dylan Radin. So as we say, big 2 days for both those guys.
Is that a good problem to have, that they're being pushed, because both of them can still be contributors, maybe not in the spot that you might have seen Dylan Radins if MPF is doing this, but at the same time, if Dylan isn't, proud enough to where he won't step on the inside, he could have a great career there too.
I think it could be a good sign. I think certainly the Titans probably wanted and expected Dylan Radins to hold down that spot and not to be still wondering at this point, still sharing reps, with Nicholas Petit-Frere. I think the idea was that Radins was going to be the guy. So a little bit of a concern there. But on the other hand, if you're looking for the bright side, it looks like Petit-Frere is developing pretty quickly. So that's a good sign. But I think that's certainly a question that has to be raised about Dylan Radins. We know that he practiced somewhat at guard last year, played a few snaps at guard last year, and maybe if this doesn't work out, if he is not starting at the right tackle, maybe he turns into more of a swing guy, and maybe he does go more inside. He's not the biggest guy, but he certainly is a guy with the work ethic and the smarts that maybe would happen more inside. We'll see. That's a little bit of a hypothetical at this point.
Glennon, we've kind of seen a little bit of a popcorn effect with how Vrabel has given days off. And today, if any day, considering yesterday was a day off, I'm setting up the scenario. And I'll say this isn't fan radio, but there has to be a level of excitement because you'd expect everybody who's healthy would be available for this first defense. Danico, Tierra, Jeff, Bud, David Long Jr., who, by the way, gets a lot of national fanfare if you hadn't been seeing it, and I know you have. But Zach Cunningham, Harold Landry, which we haven't heard a whole lot about, Caleb Farley, Bayer, Amani Hooker, if he's available, and Christian Fulton. You mentioned that, and there's not many weaknesses. And going against the Bucs today, you got to have a little bit of chills thinking about, what that can look like for the first time in camp.
Yeah, I think certainly defensively, I think, there's certainly high expectations here for the D. I would have been really more excited, of course, if Tom Brady was rolling into town and Mike Evans and Russell Gage and that whole crew in the passing attack. It's going to be a little bit different with Blaine Gabbert out there, and it looks like maybe Chris Godwin gets some snaps, maybe not, and Julio Jones is kind of the big name at this point. But yeah, nonetheless, I want to see what this defense brings, and I think in particular I'll be focused on that that cornerback spot. Caleb Farley is building momentum in my opinion. I thought he had a really nice practice on Monday. He had a couple of nice PBUs. He's been out there day after day after day, which is great for him. So the more reps he gets, the better I think he'll be. And certainly Roger McCreary, with Elijah Molden, he was out for a good stretch of times, and certainly Roger McCreary was getting a lot of reps in the slot. So for me, I want to see, if Elijah Molden doesn't play a lot today, he's kind of still coming back. I want to see how Roger McCreary is developing too, especially if he's playing in that slot role, because I think everybody thinks he has the abilities, the technique to maybe transfer to that slot role if necessary. So this should be a real good test in that regard.
Good stuff, John. Appreciate it as always, brother. Thank you.
Okay. Sure.
Thanks,
appreciate it, guys.
Indeed, that's John Glennon. It's going to be fun. It's about 40 minutes away.
I looked at, just that starting lineup, and I thought to myself, this is the first show, That group, the way they feed off each other too, Jay. I want to hear how you view that today, man. Like, you'll notice it because we finally get to see it, basically, because you didn't see it last week,
No. So we can reset a little of that before the end of the show. We're going to talk a lot more combined practices in the fourth hour of the show. Also, NFL.com picked a impact rookie for each team. So Lance Zierlein picked. I don't think it's going to come as a giant shock who NFL.com is looking at right now. We'll talk about that as well. But we haven't done the heights this week.
Hey, Shafe, ready to take
So, hey, look, it's practice. It's live practice.
Kick your slow butt.
Joint practices. So here we go. O-line and D-line going at it when we come back. Jay Martin, Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Let's go.
Is the summertime heat causing you to lose your cool? Well, don't let a broken down or older HVAC unit keep you from being comfortable in your home. It's Ramon Foster, and I have the heating and cooling company that can take care of all your HVAC needs, and they are Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They offer free service calls with their repairs, plus low monthly payments on those repairs. And if you do need a new unit, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling offers 60 months, no interest financing. Plus, they can provide the financing for qualifying purchases and free estimates on replacement units. They also back their work with 10-year parts and labor warranties. So when the summer is at its hottest, they are at their best. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, available anytime at springhillac.com.
J. Mart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Lifted up by all Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. There's going to be a little bit of a flavor to this In the Heights.
Let's go.
Bob Odenkirk.
What a
call
beat,
Saul.
though. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna get. Let's go 6'1".
6 feet.
5'9.5".
Yeah, dog is safe.
Sometimes listed at 5'11", but not correct. Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah, let's go 5'8".
5'9".
5'7.25".
Yeah. 1-1. Look at us hustling.
But if Gus Fring asked me, I'd say he was 6 feet tall.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't care what he says.
Yeah.
You're right.
Whatever he said, he said, huh, Jay?
Jonathan Banks.
Yeah.
Remember him. Yo.
Mike Ehrmantraut.
Let's go 5'10".
I don't think he's that tall. 5'9".
5'7.5".
God, dog, and you hit twice on 5'7", Shave. It sounds like we were at the community bingo, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. Bingo!
Ray Seahorn. Kim Wexler.
Kim Wexler. Kim is 5'5".
5'6".
5'4 3/4".
Hey, now look at us going tit for tat.
Dean Norris.
Ding.
That is Hank Schrader.
Okay.
Oh, Hank. Hank. I'm giving him 5'9". I'm not giving him all that. Pause.
5'10".
5'7".
I knew better, and I went the other way.
Look
Talked
at
myself
these
out of it.
5'7s.
Brian Cranston.
Yes.
Cranston.
Walter White.
Yeah. 5'8".
5'9".
5'10.5".
Yeah.
You
little bit
dirty
taller.
rat dog.
All right, now some that are not Breaking Bad universe related.
All right.
3-3 Shave.
Yeah.
Anthony Mackie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mackie.
Falcon.
Yeah. 5'4".
5'7".
5'10".
Yeah. I didn't think he was that small.
I
Mo.
thought
That
he was a
shocked me.
tall dude. I mean, I thought he was a short dude.
You said 5'4".
I said 5'4". I thought it was
a
a smaller dude. Is all I'm saying.
Dang, son.
Terry Crews.
Hey.
6 even.
I was going to say that, so I'm going to go 6'1".
6'2".
Yep.
Meek Mill.
Meek Mill. I'm giving Meek 6'1".
5'8".
6'2".
Okay.
All right.
Best you can do is tie here, man.
Yeah.
And I saved the best for last. Vanessa Williams.
Which one?
Saved the best for last.
Saving them.
Oh, model 5'10".
Not that tall. 5'8".
5'6".
Yeah.
6'4".
Yeah.
God, dog it.
Keith Bullock will tell you it's harder than you think.
Again, as I told him, that's why it's a game.
Man.
If it was easy, there'd be no game to be played.
I actually thought that was.
Just for the sake of.
You know what I'm going to do to celebrate, Mo?
What's that?
beers.
And a gun, Skylar White. Just throw a few out for fun.
Hate it.
Yep.
Wait a minute. Who's that?
Breaking
Walter
Bad.
White's wife.
Walter White's.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm giving a 5'2". No, she was actually taller. I give her 5'8".
5'7".
5'9.25".
Yeah, I figured she was tall.
Yeah. All right.
I knew she
I
was.
mean, you still lost. But
I mean, I did, but I got the bonus. I got the bonus ball.
I wanted to throw you one more out there.
Let's
Actually,
hear
I'll
it.
throw you one other one. Betsy Brandt. That is Marie Schrader, Hank's wife.
She was. I give her 5'7". 5'7".
I have no idea. I'm going to go 5'7.5".
5'8 3/4.
Dude,
Yep.
I hate
Yep.
you.
Yep.
We're flipping it the rest of the
Yep.
week. Yep. Absolutely.
Those are bonuses, though. So.
Yeah, they didn't count.
Well, you
You just got a gas card. That's it.
got a bonus, and I got a bonus.
So what's the score?
He won 6'4".
I mean, I won 6'4", so if you had the bonuses, it was 7'5".
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So things stayed the same,
They
basically.
stayed
No,
the
that's the
same.
one.
It's like when you get to a poll on social media, usually at some point, it's going to stay the same, even though the votes keep coming through. The percentages kind of land.
That's basically what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
You know what? You all right. You right. I had nothing. I know at the end of the segment right now.
Yeah, so we got the fourth hour of the show coming up. We're going to reset, talk about the combined practices, why a lot of guys don't like them. Remember Beecham coming on and telling us that.
And he'll be here next week.
That's right.
Oh, will he?
Yeah.
Oh.
AZ.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Kyle's probably doing film study on the Titans right now.
I wake up every morning and choose silence.
Grow up, man.
Y'all petty as hell.
Wide open, 615-737-1045. If you could watch one Titan and one Buck in a fight, who would you select? And maybe you'll get your wish. 737-1045. Jay Martin and Ramon here on The Zone.
Time for Window Nation's back to school sale. Kids out of the house, and guess what? You can get 2 free windows with every 2 that you buy. Plus, pay nothing with no interest until 2025. You can also lower your energy bills and raise the value of your home with new energy-efficient windows from Window Nation. Go ahead and get a grade, too. You can get an A+ in savings if you choose.
Indeed. Window Nation really they have the materials. They've got the know-how. They've got the deals. They've got the positive reviews, over 10,000. They've got custom window combinations, over 1,500. Vinyl, which is what we're using actually, wood, and fiberglass. 200,000 windows installed last year. That's 40 times more than the average window company. Most home improvement companies go out of business within 5 years. Over 50% of Window Nation's business is fixing bad jobs or just things that were left undone, done improperly, all of that. 96% of what Window Nation does, no follow-up service because they measure each window 3 times to ensure proper fit. I watched it. I had somebody in the house a couple of weeks ago measuring through. I feel totally comfortable about what's about to happen to my home, and that's going to be energy savings and hopefully this fall and winter, keeping the heat in. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, any style window from Window Nation. No limits, no payments, no down payments, no interest until 2025. Save thousands on your new windows. Save thousands on your energy bills, all while upgrading the look and feel of your home. It's so easy. Place the call today, 866-90-NATION. That's 866-90-NATION, or online. Where, Mo?
At windownation.com.
It is straight up 9 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. Titans made several roster moves yesterday, including the mandatory cut down from 90 to 85 players. The two most notable cuts, wide receiver Josh Malone and running back Jordan Wilkins. The team claimed defensive back Lonnie Johnson Jr. off waivers from the Chiefs. He's played 44 games and started 19 in 3 seasons with the Houston Texans. The Titans also acquired Raiders safety Tyree Gillespie in a trade. He was a 4th-round pick of the Raiders in 2021. Baseball yesterday, Braves 5, Mets 0. Atlanta has taken the first 2 games of their 4-game set against New York. That lead in the NL East for the Mets down to 3.5. The Braves also agreed to an 8-year, $72 million contract extension with outfielder Michael Harris II. And Middleborough, Massachusetts, taking on Nolensville today in the Little League World Series. First pitch is set tentatively for 2 o'clock. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? 4th hour hashtag fastest 4 hours in radio's here upon you, upon us. Blessed to bring it to you courtesy of All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. All4seasonsgarages.com. Go there, learn more. I had a lift master put in my house last fall. It's awesome. It's great. Now we got that freezer out there. Gosh, what a good decision that was.
Told you. I told you. Nice pickup, ain't it?
It really is. It's bigger than the freezer we have in the house. This part of the refrigerator. But now we can actually,
store a lot of meat in there.
The Savage has got to have like all the fruit and everything in advance. Now Abby can take care of it all, have it out there. We can collect a bunch of stuff for CG in advance because this girl has decided sleep is no longer an option.
I told you about the story I saw where this girl was like born with 1 less chromosome or something like that. It was weird. Like she thrives off of like she legitimately lives off of like less than 4 hours of sleep. It's a child too, by the way. She has no feelings. She doesn't feel pain. Like it's a weird it's a weird situation for her, and it doesn't happen.
The not feel pain thing is kind of scary.
Yeah,
because it means if they're in danger, they don't necessarily know it. That's the only thing that will worry you there.
Yeah. I'll have to look and see if that's 100% correct, by the way. But yes, it's out there.
All right. So we talked about this. We've talked about this every year that we have done this. Why don't guys like these practices? Or at least a lot of guys don't like these practices.
The anxiety it creates, the matchup of knowing, look, I've been practicing 2 weeks against my guys. I know them, and this is going to be a fresh battle for me that I'm not trying to get embarrassed. My job is consistently judged on how I perform. And even though you do it in a game-like fashion week after week after week after week, there's usually film there. Practice is always different from the game. Like we spoke about it the other day. You remember? You was like, some guys don't get on the field because they're not practice. They're not good at practice reps. They're game time guys, And if you are a part of a practice setting like this where joint practices are going on, what if you're the guy that just doesn't practice well and you're ruining the drill? You can't get a good rep because the way you reach a guy in practice is way worse than what you do in the game. Or game scenarios where referees are there, and there will be refs there too, but referees are there and the camera's on, your adrenaline is rushing, then you're able to do better in those settings. Wide receivers on routes, like practice is for tune-ups. Practice is for, okay, we're going to see this, so I need you to do this. I've seen this guy break at 12. I need you to break at 10 on this type of stuff. There's so much uncertainty, anxiety, and then it's the aspect of his team versus team with no fines too, Jay. Like, I know I can push you a little bit extra. I know that, look, I get an opportunity to get a get back at you no matter what. If it's one-on-ones, if it's, backs on backers, it's those types of things where it's a real game like speed, but it's not real. So you get away with stuff like the extra pushing and the fighting and just the anxiety of performing, Jay, is so friggin' high in these type of situations. And it becomes, what do you want to call it? An alpha versus alpha mindset with everybody watching and judging you one play at a time most times.
Right.
And that's where the fights come into. It's I shouldn't be, let's say, Zach Cunningham hits Leonard Fournette just a smidge too hard. He falls to the ground. Well, in the game, that's just part of it. He might get a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
In practice, I got to take up for my guy because you embarrassed him. Hey, Zach, that was a little bit too much on that play. Guess what? I got you next play. And then it turns into a back and forth tug of war, just battle of
escalation.
That's all it is, Jay. That's why we always hear the coaches, no fighting. Because it's going to happen. I ain't going to say it because it's going to happen. But unless a team is basically bending the knee, we're going to have a skirmish of some sort. Like we got the Patriots with Bill Belichick against the Panthers right now, getting into 180-player melee. Minus the special team guys, I'm sure. But that's what happens and you lose reps and stuff like that. It's a good drill. It's really good to get like good film on guys. But it's always going to be the ego stroke of not being the guy that gets dogged out.
Right. And not being the guy in the locker room that gets called out for being dogged out.
You want to hear something very interesting? We pull the curtain back a little bit. We've had those situations before, and especially with young guys that are trying to make the roster.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go into a meeting, and we know we've had a fight and stuff like that, and maybe not the head coach will say something, but the position coach will say when he see his guys either not running to the pile to help the guys or getting worked and not fighting back. Like the coaches acknowledge, hey, you see this rep right here, young man? If you want to survive and enjoy the spoils of being in this league, better not let this happen again. And now imagine that when the coach is telling you, fight, don't do this, it messes up the flow. No, there's a sense of pride that goes into this, Jay, especially in a camp setting too, where it's building, as we go back to the Ringer article, iron on iron. You know what I'm saying? So that's what sucks about this type of stuff is damned if you do, damned if you don't when it comes down to this. And you don't want to be the team that's bending the knee when it comes down to, who's going to have the better rep. You love for it to just break and just be it. Have you ever known Jeff to not take a play off? Has he ever been that guy? No, that's not the identity of this team. I don't think that'll be the identity of this offensive line or wide receiver core. Like this group of wide receiver have a lot to really prove. And them going at this secondary of Tampa Bay, it could get dicey too.
One piece of news, we had seen this during the break. We were talking about it. Look, when he's healthy, he's great. Derwin James got his bag.
Mm-hmm.
4-year extension this morning announced, $19.1 million per, highest paid safety in history. Record-breaking $42 million guaranteed, $29 million in year one. Derwin James is a stud, but he has been hurt a lot. Mm-hmm. So the guaranteed money here is where you pay attention.
Yeah.
42 guaranteed, 29 in year one. Good work.
Yeah.
Good work. But he was a hold in.
Mm-hmm.
And now
he can go practice.
That's right. DeJesus on line one. What's up?
What's up, DeJesus?
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing this morning?
Good. I say, hey, man, I followed you back. Peloton.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Now the thing is going to be getting the time to actually be able to get on there at the same time.
I'm going to shame you just like it's going to happen to an O-line if he gets pushed back today in a bull rush.
Oh, that's all right. I'll take it. So there are two things I want to see from camp. I want to see Kyle Phillips break somebody's ankles at the top of the route, and then I want to see Burks moss somebody because unlike preseason, he's actually going to have Tannehill. They're going to have Tannehill throwing them the ball. So I'm excited to see that, what that looks like. But I got a joke. Well, my wife got a joke. But before the joke, so 4 years ago, I went and saw a doctor, and they told me that I was going blind and deaf, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't seen or heard from him since.
Wow. But I get it.
my wife came up with this joke, and she said, why do cows have hooves and not feet? Because they lack toes.
Thanks for nothing, Mike.
And Jay sniped him real quick. It's like, it's not Friday, but I like what you did, but no.
Man, you ain't handsome.
Yeah, I'm sure
You know it's good
cute.
if I just say thanks for nothing and hang up on you very, very kindly.
Damn sure ain't cute.
Yeah, he sent me a follow request on Peloton. I'm like, all right.
You know what's crazy about the Jesus calling up and saying those jokes is he threw his wife under the bus by saying it's my wife jokes. Like, nah, he was doing a dry
proud
run.
of that joke. No, he was proud of that joke.
He was doing a dry run.
No, I don't think he was throwing her under the bus at all.
They hit him with it, but good for him.
More like.
But yeah, they kick off stuff today though, Jay. It needs to be productive though for a lot of different reasons. Wide receivers need it. Offensive line need this. Special teams. That's an aspect of this game where the hidden yards always come into play. This kick return situation. I wonder will they allow full speed when it comes down to kick returns. Like Kyle Phillips has to see it live. If Traylon Burks is going to be back there also, that's going to be a good test for this group too. And also, what does Stonehouse look like if he's holding the ball for Randy Bullock again? That's been an area that this team has had steady, knock on wood, for 2 years, man.
Brett Kern's giving him a Franklin before he goes out there.
Hey, do you mind checking this one? Because did Randy get an extension this year before the offseason? You remember, fellas? I can look it up.
I can't remember. For some reason, I thought maybe he did get one.
Yeah, I feel like he got re-signed back just because of, the work he's put in and how he's played and been consistent.
2-year contract.
Yeah.
We'll look at that. We'll
Yeah,
come back on the other side. NFL.com picked one impact rookie for each team. We'll tell you who they selected for the Titans. And we'll look around the league. There's some headlines this morning, just different things happening, including a former Titan whose career may have come to an end, unfortunately, after what happened in the preseason game 1 against, I can't remember who they played now. Is it Carolina?
They're at Carolina right now.
Giants?
Patriots, Giants?
I don't remember.
That might be right. I think that actually is right. We'll come back. It's Jay Martin and Mo, 104.5 The Zone. J. Martin and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. It's the name of the program. Practice set to start in about 5 minutes over at St. Thomas. Combined practice with the Bucks. I may leave after the segment.
Hey, you might as well get over there. No, for real.
Maybe you
should.
I'll hear Ink in the car on the drive over the way I can catch an extra 10, 15 minutes of practice.
Gonna be a lot of clacking today.
One guy that's already there is Will Boling. He's with us on the line right now. Will, what's going on?
William.
Good morning, friends. Busy day at practice. A lot of people here, but it's gonna be a good one. I didn't know you were coming, J. Mart. I'm gonna get ready with all of my spicy takes and more lukewarm takes of the Better Call Saul finale.
I'm looking forward to that conversation. So, where are your eyes first today?
Ooh, for me, I think it depends on what the Titans wide receivers are probably doing. I think that continues to be one of the more intriguing position battles, but specifically now, going up against a different group of defensive backs today. I think if they give us those one-on-ones, if they give us an opportunity for all those wide receivers to go up against a different set of corners, I think that's going to be the biggest talking point. And I think video-wise, what people are going to actually see, I likely think that's the final, open for video, open to media period that people are going to be able to actually see today on the socials, which means that that's what people are going to be overreacting to and talking about the most.
With that, you mentioned the receivers, and immediately I think Ryan Tannehill for sure, because like you said, it's important that takes a step in the right direction. What's a good, successful day for him?
Not throwing a pick. I think that'd be a really successful day for him. Quite honestly, I think the offense coming off of maybe its worst day in camp, the last time we were out here on Monday, interested to see kind of how they respond and how a Todd Bowles defense kind of tries to confuse them, the way that a different defense can disguise some things, can try to give this offense a little bit of different looks. And I think it's interesting, how much does a team prepare for a joint practice, right? How much film analysis, how much preparation does it really happen before this opening practice, or how much are the Titans just going to try to trial by fire, take a look at what they have without really doing a lot of prep work on the front end. So I think it's going to be interesting this opening day, and then kind of tomorrow how both teams adjust, how one group responds to having a good or bad day today. But I'm fascinated to see kind of on all fronts what happens. I think the wide receivers, Ryan Tannehill obviously on the offensive side, but Julio Jones against the Tennessee Titans defensive backs. Let's see if Julio Jones does get on this practice field after all.
Who needs a good couple of days on this roster?
Treylon Burks for me. Treylon Burks has, obviously didn't have a catch in the preseason game against Baltimore. Really has not been as active over these past few weeks. I think he's got to have a good couple of days against new faces, against new defensive backs, in order to get a little confidence, right? You want to see that guy take a step forward this weekend in the preseason game. You've heard the coaches talk about, look, this guy needs to be playing at a little bit of a faster speed. The game has got to start slowing down for him now, where he's able to do more positive things. I think he's kind of hit that first wall a little bit of playing really well over those first couple of weeks, not so much over the past couple of days and past couple of weeks. So important couple days for him. I think he needs to get started off with a good one here today.
Are you concerned at all about him?
I'm not really, because I think the Titans defensive backs, as Elijah Molden gets back out here, so much can be said about the Titans defense is just, I'm very confident in who they are. I'm not as confident yet as to who this entire offense is as a unit without A.J. Brown. So for me, it's more emblematic of the way the defense has played, the experience they have, the continuity they have on that side of the football, and Treylon Burks kind of figuring things out on the fly. I don't really think we get worried about this unless he ends the preseason the same way he started it against Baltimore without a catch. I don't see that happening. But I think we're going to get the best evaluation period once Ryan Tannehill is in there with him in a preseason series or in the first quarter of probably game 3. I think is the most we could expect from him at this point. So I think the fact that Malik Willis was his quarterback against Baltimore, the fact that the offense was pretty simple, it was either first read for him or run, gives Treylon Burks a little bit of a pass for not being more active and involved in that first game.
As far as the rush game for this defense, how do you see this kind of panning out a little bit? I brought it up to John Glennon in the last segment. It would be the first time we kind of see these guys get together. Are you looking forward to seeing how that comes together?
I am, because that is the deepest unit on this team right now. I heard Mike Keith at 3HL earlier this week saying that defensive line is the deepest group on this team right now. And I would throw the edge guys in there too. David Aneni, of course, had a really, really good day against Baltimore, had the pair of sacks laid on in that one. That's a guy that's pushing a little bit right now that I think at the very least is on this team's practice squad at the moment with how well that he has played. But Rashad Weaver is another guy that I'm really interested in seeing this week, kind of the star of preseason football last year when he was on the field, a guy that flashed against Baltimore with the tackle for loss. The depth at that position, but also, guys, we haven't seen a ton of Harold Landry and Bud Dupree because they meet that minimum requirement of experience for Mike Vrabel to kind of treat them a little bit like superstars. And they're getting paid like superstars. They're getting those maintenance days. They're coming along slowly with the rest of the team. They're not young guys that have to have the reps at this point. So, how much more do we see guys like that against another team? I think we'll find out today really what Mike Vrabel's whole philosophy is going to be for these next 2 weeks, and the way he treats those veterans and how much work they're either getting in the sandpit or actually getting on the field with the rest of this team.
Yeah, running back wise too. Derek hasn't got much work, man. I think we heard, Aaron Rodgers basically say he didn't get much work with his wide receivers, and we see that now. Do you need to see a little bit of Derek before the season kicks off?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't. I think if anyone on this team doesn't need the team periods, he is the one. Because I don't think there's really much new that guy needs to work through with this offense. And I think the Titans' plan for him has been a good one. I mean, it worked in keeping him healthy and keeping him durable up until last season, and I don't think there's really anything they could have done to prevent his injury last season and what he suffered in Indianapolis. So, yes, the wide receivers, yeah, it's important to get that chemistry with Ryan Tannehill, and we saw that reared its ugly head last year in that Week 1 loss to Arizona, and the lack of chemistry that Ryan Tannehill had with that group. But I couldn't care less what Derrick Henry's doing during practice. I think that guy is as comfortable within this offense and knows his role. Let's keep that guy, polished over in the sandpit doing whatever he needs to be doing on his own. And that way, the second that he does get a rep Week 1 against the New York Giants, there is zero tread on those tires. I think that's the position I'm in with him.
So, Will, we saw Josh Malone go away yesterday after looking pretty good in OTAs, but then just, I think, being outshined by other guys. How much danger is another former fourth-rounder, Des Fitzpatrick, in right now?
I think a decent amount. I said it the other day. I really think that Terry Godwin is coming on really strong at that position. And I just think with the amount of wide receivers that this team is going to keep, I just don't see Des Fitzpatrick making it the way things currently stand. Obviously, their evaluation of him was very positive on the front end. Obviously, there are a lot of things they like about that guy in order to make the moves that they did to bring him in. And they've been really complimentary of the way that he has come on strong this offseason. But at this point, the evaluation changes, right? Because every rep in weeks 3, 4 is weighted differently than reps in weeks 1 and 2 and over OTAs where he was pretty good. So, saw him have a drop in the last practice on Monday. He's not necessarily been bad. It's just that other guys have been better, and they've made more plays, and they've, been more accessible for Ryan Tannehill within team periods and 7-on-7. So, I think this ultimately comes down to him versus Godwin for the last wide receiver spot. And quite honestly, there's a good chance neither of them make it. So we'll see what happens there. But I think certainly, on the hot seat of making this team and a guy that might have to be pushed to the practice squad again.
Speaking of that side of it, we always speak about the starters when it comes to this defensive line, but a guy that's been around here in Nashville for a little while is Larrell Murchison, but he's third on the depth chart at defense on the defensive line. You got a guy like DeMarcus Walker, former first-round draft pick, who's second on the depth chart. Is there hay to be made as far as that second-tier guys? Because they played a big role last year with Naquan doing some good things throughout the season.
No, I think you're absolutely right. It's a great point, and I think at this point you really trust Mike Vrabel and John Robinson's evaluation of players at positions like that, right? Naquan Jones was a perfect fit on this football team. He gives them really, really good value at that position on the defensive side of the ball. Larrell Murchison's just been banged up.
Okay.
A guy that went off early again on Monday. I do see him out here at practice today, so certainly nothing too serious on Monday when he went out just a little bit early before one of those last periods. But I think this coaching staff really likes DeMarcus Walker. The 6 years of experience he has in the NFL, I think that's a guy that they really like, that fits what they do, that this coaching staff has experience with. So I ultimately think that he's going to play a pretty big role on this team. And that, again, that's just a really deep part of this roster. I think the Titans' defense can feel really comfortable about rotating some bodies at that position, about always being fresh within that front seven, specifically really the front four, as much as they're in that nickel look on the defensive line. So, yeah, you're right. I think DeMarcus Walker is a guy that I will continue to have my eye on. I said this the other day with you guys. I think that these joint practices become, especially the first one, a lot more physical. Kevin Dyson was talking with me on Titans Talkback on Thursday night, just saying, like, you kind of get out of the monotony of practice when you get to these joint practices. And it's like a shot of espresso getting out there because finally you get to hit somebody else. And it sounds so cliche, right? Like, we make that joke all the time of, like, every media member, oh, you're finally hitting someone else. Like, great. Like, is that really but, like, it really is, a big motivating factor for these guys. So, I think today is going to be a lot more physical. So I'll probably have my eye more on those those big guys more than I typically would.
Yeah.
Just to see who responds well to that, who kind of embraces it, and who might be a little exposed by the extra physicality from the guys on the other side of the football.
So who do you have your head on a swivel watching out for if you're the Bucs today?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think Kyle Phillips is probably the guy that Titans veterans have been the most annoyed by in every single period, actually, now that you think about it, because Kevin Byard has called out Kyle Phillips about 3 or 4 times, and every time there's an open field tackling drill, there's a one-on-one. Kevin Byard is taking 18 every single time because 18 has shown up some of the second and third tier corners on this team with how quick that he is in individual periods. So, I could see a scenario playing out where a second or third teamer or a rookie gets matched up with Kyle Phillips in individual periods and gets exposed, and then you're seeing the veteran saying, okay, all right, we got to put this guy in his place a little bit. So my head is on a swivel for that guy if I'm wearing pewter and red over the next 2 days.
Another guy with his head on the swivel, have there been any boos for a Logan Ryan?
There have not. Honestly, the fans kind of came out here a little bit on the later side.
Okay.
From where we're sitting right now, the Titans are on the field closest to us, and the Bucs are on the field furthest away from us. So, honestly, like, unless these guys had rosters, which I don't think they do, the fans over here, you can barely see over to the very far end of the practice facility. So we will see. We will see if whether Julio makes a play or whatever happens and the former Titans that are out here flash at all. I think we will hear it before we see it, perhaps, based on how the fans react.
One guy you'll get to see early, former Titan, is Blaine Gabbert.
That's right.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I've seen him on those practice fields before.
That's right.
How you envision this, rolling? Because he's numero uno right now since Tom got a little bit of a break.
Yeah, I think it. Yes, he's number one. A big opportunity for Kyle Trask, right?
Yeah, it is.
In Tampa, just his ability to kind of be the next guy after Tom Brady moves on once he's in the booth with Fox. This is also a tryout for Kyle Trask in front of a second NFL team. as well against, the Tennessee Titans. And these GMs have these conversations, and they, obviously over the next couple of days, he'll get another audition, so to speak, even though the Titans aren't really looking for a quarterback right now. But anytime you get to play in front of another coaching staff, in front of another front office, I think it's meaningful. I would expect it to be just, based on my guess, so kind of a 1A, 1B for him. I think they want to get him some reps and get him some opportunity here. But again, it's kind of like the conversation we're having about Malik Willis and Logan Woodside. I imagine Blaine Gabbert is very comfortable knowing that offense and knowing what Tom Brady would be looking for and trying to simulate that and give that experience to his wide receivers. Because it sounds, guys, like this was a plan for Tom Brady to not be here and not be in this part of the preseason for a while. I would imagine that was part of the conversation when that guy unretired was, hey, for X or Y reason, let's get some time off in the middle of camp and, try to have some maintenance. It sounds just like from everything you read about that situation that this was a plan, which means that I think Blaine Gabbert and Kyle Trask probably had a very specific role in that plan as well.
Let me ask you this too, since you brought it up as being an audition for another team, NFL team. With the position that the Titans are in, with Logan Woodside being the backup guy and Malik being a project guy pretty much in the earlier part of his career, do you think the Titans will actually be shopping for a guy at some point, to actually say, okay, we feel more comfortable, or are they comfortable with their backup quarterback situation?
I think it's going to be interesting because you can only hold back Malik Willis for so long.
Yeah.
As Logan Woodside kind of stacks performances like he did against Baltimore. And honestly, I think Logan Woodside did do some really good things. He was actually pretty accurate on third down. There are a certain amount of good mistakes that you're okay with, trying things out, seeing what works. I don't see the Titans looking around at this point. And quite honestly, I think based on their familiarity with Logan Woodside, I think there is a situation where you could keep that guy on the practice squad if you really wanted to, because this is not like a Matt Barkley or Deshaun Kaiser who has hopped around to different places, who knows other organizations and other GMs really well. Logan Woodside has been a Titan for a while at this point.
Yeah.
He's not one that has bounced around on a lot of other places that, might still have a relationship with a GM elsewhere that causes him to go somewhere else if he was, kind of cut adrift by this team. So, I think at this point you're going to be able to keep that guy as your third QB if they choose to do so on the practice squad. And if not, if that guy moves somewhere else, if, the Titans decide to just keep two and keep Malik Willis on the roster, then we're having a different conversation. But let's get one thing straight. There is no chance that Malik Willis does not make this roster. Yeah. Malik Willis is a Titans quarterback this year. He's already made a lot of progress based on where he started, and I think there is no way that guy doesn't make the team. So the question is, does Logan Woodside, get a spot on the practice squad or on this roster?
Yeah, and I wasn't, saying that he wasn't going to make the team. It's just a matter of comfortability of him running the ship. If Tannehill, has like a broken fingernail or something, I never want to say a major injury, but if he got to take a week break to, get his nails right, like how comfortable is that position? And of course, it's all about growth, and that's what these joint practices should be more for him and Logan than it is for Ryan Tannehill.
Right. No, I think you're right, and I think Mike Vrabel was very open in his comments about Malik Willis against Baltimore.
Yeah.
When he said, "Hey, I took him off the field because he wasn't throwing to open receivers. He wasn't throwing the football." I will say though that if Malik Willis had to go in an NFL game tomorrow, I don't think Mike Vrabel would be saying things like that. I think he'd be saying behind closed doors, how do we make you comfortable enough to where you're either one read or you're running it?
Okay.
Because, J-Mart, we talked about this during that Baltimore game.
Yes.
Lamar Jackson has become a very good NFL quarterback by either having one read or running the football.
Yeah.
To an extent, you can win games in a break glass in case of emergency situation by doing that, just based off of how athletic that guy is. Now, that's why you see a lot of mobile quarterbacks have a horrible sophomore slump, is because defenses figure out how to adjust to that over time. And obviously, the Titans will want Malik Willis to play within the framework of their offense the way Ryan Tannehill does, as much as he possibly can. But if this team had to go to somebody, Malik Willis gives this team the best chance to win, outside of Ryan Tannehill at the quarterback position, I think already. That doesn't mean it's the same offense. Doesn't mean he's going to be running close to the same offense. But I think things would have to pretty drastically change in order to make that guy really comfortable. And that's where he's got to come along over these next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Will. We'll see you out there. Go ahead and enjoy what you can. Hopefully I'll get there in time to see some of the team period stuff.
Absolutely. Enjoy all the ladder drills. Or I guess you won't see the ladder drills. I will enjoy the ladder drills, in which we have seen now for, 12 days, 13 days, something like that. But I think we might get some substantial things to take away, some good evaluations against another team. I think it's going to be a big day.
All right. That's Will Boling.
Thanks,
on the
guys.
other side, we got Ink.
Yeah, we got a clip from Ink, man. He's on stage.
Of course he is.
I dogged him last week talking about he was cheating on UT, and he went and did the same thing yesterday. He went to Florida, man. Went to Florida. But you know what? Hey, as he said, this is my livelihood,
Wait,
man.
maybe he's Stonehouse, though, as a holder, and there's a deal set up, so he's giving Florida terrible motivational advice.
By the way, Florida just installed a $90 million new facility.
Take that, John Calipari. Ink will come back and finish this up. It's Jay Martin, Ramon 104.5 The Zone.
Join 104.5 The Zone's 3HL, broadcasting live from Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Coming up tomorrow, 3 to 6. Stop by as we are joined by Tampa Bay Bucks legend Rondé Barber. We're going to talk Bucks, Titans, and sports betting thanks to Superbook. For more info, visit 1045thezone.com/events. I'm Jonathan Schaefer, alongside Ramon Foster. Jason on his way out to St. Thomas Sports Park for practice between the Bucks and the Titans. And as we look towards tomorrow, Ramon, what are the headlines that you hope are coming out of Titans training camp in this joint session?
Let the Titans offense excel today. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Nobody, I feel like, to a man or to a fan, feels like this defense is below the line. Nobody feel like this defense is an issue. The biggest question marks around this team is, what is Ryan Tannehill going to look like, and what are his young receivers, and also older veteran coming off of an ACL injury is looking like against good competition, as we went through earlier in the cliche article, iron on iron. And you hope that the Titans are in a position to where we say, yeah, the Titans offensively won today.
Well, how much play do you think that the starters are going to have during these joint sessions the next 2 days?
Today, for sure, I feel like they'll get the lion's share. That's the biggest thing of it is today is a vet day for those guys. You got to think, had the day off yesterday, the team did, and you come back against a new team to where, and I kind of like to say this, you don't really have any emotional attachment to them while you're practicing. Like, this is an opponent at this point. And that's where you got to really take advantage of letting your vets get the line share, the offensive line coming together. I know I continue to bring it up. Well, it's because there's a lot of question marks. And 2 spots basically being new starters, that is a lot of question marks. And the way Nate Davis started a little slow last year with being on the COVID list and kind of giving up a lot of pass pressures, we know that Tampa defense gets after it. So watching this first line, watching these first receivers, and also – Austin Hooper and Chig getting some good, valuable work against good quality starters. Todd Bowles is a defensive-minded head coach.
An outstanding one at that.
A really good one. One of my former teammates, Larry Foote, is the passing game coordinator for the defensive side of the ball. I know what type of mentality he carries. So this should get sticky today.
You mentioned the tight ends. That's something we didn't see in that first preseason game, and they're eventually going to want to work those guys into the rotation. How much do you game plan? How much do you really plan out a joint training session?
There's a whole lot of discussion behind it, and that's the thing about it. Both coaching staff want to have production. They know where their weak spots are, and I guarantee you there will be a backs on backers or tight ends on backers drill that we'll see. The one-on-ones will happen. There will be, hey, coach, they share scripts. This is sharing a little secret. They share scripts, and there will be an unscripted part of practice where they just put the ball down and say third and 7, and you got to call and play it out. But as far as maybe the first period, hey, we're running this, you guys can run that. Like, they will match it up to say, let's see what we do against your best against this play, at least personnel-wise.
We talked about him in the last segment with Will Boling, who was reporting live from St. Thomas Sports Park. If you're Traylon Burks, what feeling do you want to have by the end of the day today?
If you're Traylon Burks, positivity, and I hate to even use that word because there's so much ebb and flow throughout practice for a young guy. But you want to say the balls that came his way, is whether they're high balls or whether they're catchable, he takes them all in. You want to be able to say his route was better, his placement was good, he had some yak today. Also, just no silly stuff like fumbles or a drop is okay, because he's going against other defenders that are going to play him like, hey, I don't like you. Okay, you're a first rounder. They got, some guys on that team that are really some game time type of guys, and you need him to walk away and say, I can compete in this league, because he didn't have that opportunity to show it. And with the addition that Malik was at quarterback the last time that he was in, and he didn't actually get those passes his way, we can say he didn't get a shot shape of Vrabel challenged Traylon Burks as, look, we needed to transfer over. He really didn't get that opportunity. Really. Today and tomorrow he will, which was kind of like side-eye when Vrabel made that comment.
We'll have joint practices again tomorrow, and we'll learn what happens from St. Thomas Sports Park today. When we talk to you again tomorrow, Jason Swain will be joining us from 99.1 The Sports Animal in Knoxville. We'll also talk to Coach Mac. Dave McGinnis, the head coach of Titans Radio, will be talking to us. And, of course, Treacherous Thursday means bleep you, Aaron Rodgers, which is kind of becoming every day of the week. For Jason Martin and Ramon Foster, I'm Jonathan Schaefer, and you know what time it is right now, Moan.
Send us out, Inc. Midweek Motivation.
The first one reads, I am what I am today because of the choices I made yesterday. The second one reads, hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. The last one reads, a Native American grandfather was talking to his grandson about how he felt. He said, I feel as if there's two wolves fighting on the inside of me. One wolf is vengeance, it's angry, it's violent. The other wolf is loving, compassionate, and empathetic. The grandson asked him, which wolf wins? He said, the one you feed.